Council meeting for the end of June on June 25th. Call the meeting to order at 9:30 a.m. We do have an agenda in front of us. Any additions to the agenda? And I think, Anne, you have some?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, we will be removing B1, Municipal Planning Services. We did deal with this. The person who's presenting will be coming to the July 9th meeting, so we can remove B1. We will change everything else from 1, 2, 3. We'll be adding an item under number 4, Summer Village of Southview Recreation Donation. And then under 10A2, we'll be adding an item, update on overland flooding from Fire Chief and GM of Operations.
Okay, thank you very much. We've made those additions. Any other additions to the agenda? If not, I would ask for an acceptance of agenda motion, please. Bo, discussion? All in favor? It's carried. All right, adoption of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes today. First of all, the minutes of May 28th, County Council minutes. You've all seen the minutes. They're in front of you. Any errors or omissions to those minutes? If not, a motion to accept those minutes. Ed, all in favor? That's carried. 5.2, June 11th County Council meeting. Once again, you have them in front of you. You've had a chance to peruse them. Any error or omissions?
I'll move the minutes.
Dale moves to accept the minutes. All those in favor? That's carried. All right, so we do have delegations appointments at 10:30, at 11, and at 11:30. So we will try to hold to those times, and one at 1 p.m. as well. So we will move straight down to 10A1. That's the, actually, we should probably talk about that
Yes.
after we get the presentation.
Yeah, through the chair, we'll wait for that after the presentation. So maybe we could move down to 10A2, the update on overland
Well,
flooding.
sorry, I was requested to delay that because Randy is detained right now, so we'll have to move that after when he's available.
Okay, 11A1, we can
Yeah.
go into bylaws and policies.
Great, yeah. 11A1, so we're going to move straight into the bylaws. Just a second. So this is bylaw 22, 2017, 02, 2026 to amend the land use bylaw 22, 2017, and that's southeast of 355305, southwest of 3553, and southwest of 3653, and northwest of 3653, and northwest. Why is that one in twice?
Two parcels on that corner.
Two parcels on that one? Okay, all right. From Ag 1 to aggregate resource extraction and processing. So Trina, can I hand the floor over to you?
Thank you. Through to the chair. The recommendation from administration is that County Council give second reading to amend the bylaw 22-2017-02-2026 to amend the land use bylaw southeast 355305, southwest 355305, southwest 365305, northwest 365305, and northwest 365305 from Ag 1 district to aggregate extraction and processing. And that County Council give third reading to the above noted. An application was received on May 1st to redistrict these lands. Under the old land use bylaw, it was that these activities had been occurring, and the rezoning is simply to become into compliance with our current land use bylaw. So a public hearing did occur. Sorry. First reading was given, carried on May 14th. Sorry, no, I'm reading the wrong one. The bylaw received first reading on May 22nd. The public hearing was held July 17th. This was previous council, and because of new council, the election, the process had to commence all over again. Then first reading was given on May 14th. They did do public engagement on May 20th of 2026. Notice was advertised in the Lac St. Anne Bulletin June 1st and 8th editions, and also advertised on our website for the draft bylaw. The redistricting referrals did go out as well, and then the public hearing was held on June 11th of 2026. Comments received from the public, submission and at the public hearing, questions regarding procedural fairness, questions regarding the use of the lands, concerns of haul route, road conditions, dust control, property values and taxes, and effect on living conditions. Hearing council, the council held the statutory public hearing to gather input on the proposed redistricting on several parcels of land. Council emphasized that no decision had been made and that procedural fairness must be upheld. Administration outlined the policy framework, while speakers presented both support and in opposition. It should be noted that the use would be considered discretionary and the development permit application will be subject to review and due diligence. The application will be presented to the Municipal Planning Commission for consideration. Should the development permit application be approved, it is subject to appeal. So on this specific file, title to the Northwest 355305 changed on June 2nd of 2026. Upon request of the new registered owner, they have confirmed that they do not wish to participate in the redistricting application for that parcel. Therefore, Bylaw 22-2017-02-2026 is amended to remove the following legal land description: Northwest 355305 west of the 5th. There are three options in front of you. Option 1, that council give second reading to amend the bylaw. That council give third reading to amend the bylaw. Or that council defer giving second and third reading of the bylaw. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much for that. Any discussion on the report or questions? Dale?
So the amendment or the removal of that 1/4 section, does that change the whole process at this point?
Through to the chair, no, it does not.
Okay, thank you. Second question I have, which 1/4 section is the operational one?
Through the chair, the current mining areas for the previous permit, which was 2016, the mining areas 1 to 23 are actually located within Parkland County, and then mining area number 24 is located within the southwest of 3553.5, and also mining blocks 58 to 68, and then mining areas 25 to 30 are located within the southeast of 3553.5. Then mining areas 21 and 45 through 45 are within the southwest of 36. So it jumps 1/4 sections as they go through their mining plan.
So according to the owner, he said they just had 1/4 section. So I read there's more than one?
Yes, the mining plan overall was all 5 1/4 sections listed. And of course, there's 6 legals because one was a fraction of a parcel, but all of them go through all the mining blocks. In Lac St. Anne County is mining blocks 24 through 139.
And those are already being mined, or they're just proposed mining?
Proposed mining, because he started within the southwest of 35 and the southeast of 35, because there was only a tiny little portion located, the mining block number 24 was in the southwest of 35, and then mining block 25 through 30 are within the southeast of 35.
Okay, thank you.
I am confused. I didn't get a clear answer, and I'd like you to clarify that a little more for me. I asked which quarter section
Are
was,
active.
was currently operational. I don't want to know what his proposal is. I want to know where he's operating now.
Southwest of 35 and southeast of 35.
Two. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Ed?
Question for you. The existing development permit, that is for southwest of 35 and southeast of 35? Would he need another development permit to carry on with these other 3 quarter sections?
Through the chair, the legal land descriptions were all included in the original permit application 16-D0012 and the renewal of 23, sorry, I lost it. 23-D0283 included all of those legals.
Barry?
So when he was here last, I believe that 1 quarter 35, I guess, is the one he's mining on right now, correct?
Correct.
And the other ones would be expansion quarters.
Correct. But they were all listed in the original approval application for development permit.
Can we, I'm just asking this because I don't know. I understand he's mining on 35 and he put all the quarters under one permit or application. Can we not allow some of them, or is that it's all or nothing?
Through to the chair, the Municipal Government Act does allow for council to be able to amend a bylaw. That is included in section 216.4 5B, where it reads that after considering the representations made to it about a proposed bylaw or resolution at the public hearing, and after considering any other matter it considers appropriate, the council may either A, pass the resolution, the bylaw or resolution, or B, which is what I'm speaking to, make any amendment to the bylaw or resolution it considers necessary and proceed to pass it without further advertisement or hearing.
Okay, does that clarify it for you, Barry?
Basically, it
Okay.
says we can actually amend the bylaw if we
However we
consider
please.
that the future use might not be in order, whatever. We have that ability.
Yeah. Mike, you had something?
That's what I was leaning towards, if we could amend it and,
Oh.
you know, redistrict 1 quarter and leave the other 4 for now, so we have more time to look at the impacts of it.
I would agree with Mike's, Councillor Dirksen's comment there. And I truly believe that we don't have an aggregate resource framework in place right now to deal with this expansion. I call it an expansion because it's not what was being developed at that point in time according to the permit. This is an expansion. It's also redistricting, changing our municipal development plans, and changing our land use bylaw plans. And I believe that this council and administration need more time to determine the future of our aggregate resource extraction policies. So I have no problem with keeping the operation going as is, but I do have a problem with the expansion.
Further discussion? I think we do have to keep in mind, and not speaking in favor or against, but we've given a permit for all of it. The reasoning is because the county changed the land use bylaw, which put them outside of it. And now, all of a sudden, we're saying you can't do what you were approved for. And so it's, I'm really conflicted on this one, that it does have two sides to it. And whether or not it's actually already dug up or not, I think is a little bit irrelevant. We can use that as an argument, but in a way, I think it's irrelevant. So I do think we need to consider that, and I don't know what the best answer is, but I think we have to consider that. Joe?
Would there be like legal risk if we didn't approve this?
Anne, do you want to answer that? Or, okay, Trina?
Administration, sorry, through to the chair, administration did check with legal this morning as far as being able to amend the bylaw, and we are perfectly okay with doing that. If it was, take for example, they were applying for a rezoning for aggregate, and council decided to say, well, we're going to rezone it to commercial. That's the extreme difference, then it's not recommended. However, given the circumstances that the applicant is looking to rezone it to aggregate, and you're potentially removing, then you are in your right, and there's low risk at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Dale?
So just if I could get a quick recap, because on his process, he made application and then the application lapsed, is that correct? And then he reapplied?
Through the chair, the process is the development permit was given a 5-year with a notification that you had to reapply 6 months before the renewal date was up, of which falls in the time frame of when he got his regulatory approval. So there's a slight delay. And when he applies, it is a renewal of the previous permit. And then because when we review the permit under the land use bylaw, he is no longer in compliance with the district that allows for aggregate extraction, then he is notified that he has to apply for a redistricting application or rezoning.
So did he do that within his timeline?
Correct.
Good question. So I have a question. I don't know if it's can apply to this. If we decide that we, like for reclaiming pits, I'm going to bring an example forward. That's a big complaint in the county. The pits are always left abandoned. They're never reclaimed. Can we, if we push something forward that reclaimed within 3 years of lack of use, can this still apply to this operation? I don't know. That's just a lot of complaints I get, and reclaiming pits is a big concern in the county.
So through to the chair, that could be potentially included as a condition of the development permit. That would be up to the Municipal Planning Commission, but to decide on when it gets to that point, but we can certainly add it.
Is there a risk if we don't give it that the applicant then just abandons and leaves what he's doing right now, and we have no power to, that he reclaims those properties?
I would suggest that a stop order at that point can be issued because of being in non-conformance.
That's fair, and a stop order, but if he quits, then refuses to reclaim that property, what power do we have to insist he does it or force him to do it?
So we do have that power through the stop order, through the Municipal Government Act, and then if still in non-conformance, then we can seek a legal action on that, seek a court injunction to make him comply.
Okay, thank you.
Do we not put a bond on these companies that they put money in a trust for reclamation?
Through the chair, the bond is through the provincial government, through Alberta Environment, because they oversee then the regulatory approvals, and they have to give a bond to them that is then held in trust at that stage, not through the municipality.
Okay. Oh,
I was in, ready to go? I was under the impression that the municipality does have their own options if we have an aggregate resource framework in place to deal with it. Do we currently have a bond on this development?
Through the chair, there is no bonds currently on any aggregate application
What
that I'm
about-
aware of.
Okay, what about agreements with levies for road use?
Through the chair, the road use agreements are through Public Works, which are conditions of their development permit, along with the cap levy that is required to be submitted.
And do we have that agreement in front of us so we could review it?
The agreement is tied to the development permit, so it's not attached to the redistricting.
Okay, I think that's pretty critical because infrastructure is one of the biggest factors of aggregate extraction development. We constantly are dealing with road maintenance, improvements, and keeping our roads up. This is all a part of the aggregate resource framework that should be in place that we do not have at this point in time. So any new redistricting for this purpose, I believe should be delayed until we have an opportunity to discuss this with council and administration and create some sort of framework to get it going.
okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Oh, Ann.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just want to weigh in and just remind council that the development permit process is very administrative in nature, and we understand the intent and everything, but that is something that goes through administration, through operations, but also is looked at through the MPC, Municipal Planning Commission as well, too. So that's where that could be looked at, and then there's also an appeal process, too.
I can appreciate there's other processes that need to be gone through with the development permitting processes, but this is something that affects our municipal development plan, which is a general plan that the public has input in as well. And we have not had that opportunity to create that plan, nor have we had the opportunity to even discuss the aggregate resource framework. So I believe we're premature here. I believe the cart's before the horse.
Further discussion? I mean, again, I'll make a comment. I'm not sure the cart's before the horse. It was zoned as aggregate, so until the land use bylaw changed, and so we're changing back. I mean, it's fine. All of this is in our power. It's just the direction that we want to go. That's what we have to decide. Dale?
So with hearing that, I would make a motion to amend the bylaw to just include the 2 operational quarter sections. That's what I've understood. And not the extra other 2.
Okay, Ann?
Through the chair to Deputy Reeve Johnson, I would suggest too that we expand that if we are going to amend it. I know that the manager of planning has had a quick conversation with legal, but I think we should bring more information back if that's what we're going to do, to make sure that we understand the risks.
So then maybe the proper motion would be to table this temporarily? Would be my motion to table this temporarily till we get the correct information, if that's okay.
Okay, so a tabling motion. So there's no discussion on a tabling motion. All those in favor of tabling, oh, I do need a time. A tabling motion needs to have the time, how long is it tabled? To the next meeting?
Through the chair, can we July 9th or 23rd? And let's be realistic. 23rd?
If you need a time frame, which I don't.
July, can we just say
don't know.
July of 2026? Yeah. July of 2026. We'll attempt to make it for the 9th, but if we cannot, then it'll be on the 23rd. Is that sufficient?
Okay, so are you okay with that? So it's
Yeah,
tabled to
Yeah, I just didn't
a
think
July
a
meeting.
tabled motion needed a time frame.
Well, a table motion always needs a time frame. You can't just table it for infinity.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd never
That-
guess what I was trying to do, right?
Through to the chair.
28th of July.
Through to the chair, not completely seeing what the next agenda looks like. I do know that there are some things on there. I would suggest that we table it till the 23rd, being realistic.
Okay, so is that when our, the 23rd is the meeting? I don't have the calendar.
Yes, the first one's on the 9th and the second meeting in July is on the 23rd.
Okay, are you okay with that? Okay, so motion to table this discussion to July 23rd meeting. All those in favor? Carried. All right. All right, so we'll move on to bylaw 22, 2017, 03, 2026. Trina, I'll give it over to you again, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to the Chair, Council, the recommendation on this bylaw amendment, bylaw 22-2017-03, 2026, to amend the land use bylaw, Northwest 335303, Northeast 335303, west of the 5th, Southwest 345303, west of the 5th, from ag to aggregate resource extraction, AR district. So the recommendation before you is that County Council gives second and third reading to the above noted bylaw to redistrict from ag to aggregate resource. An application was received on May 23rd for the redistricting of the above noted lands, and much like the previous one, previously approved under a development permit under the previous land use bylaw. Upon reviewing of the submitted development permit, the new development permit, the renewal expansion of aggregate operations, it was determined that they were not in compliance with the land use bylaw. Therefore, this redistricting application is brought forward. First reading of this bylaw was carried out on May 14th of 2026. Public hearing notice was mailed to 300 landowners and to Parkland County within a 2-mile radius. Notice was advertised in the Lac St. Anne Bulletin June 1st and 8th editions. As well, it was on our website. The public hearing was held on June 11th of 2026. Comments received from the public submission and at the public hearing. One concern regarding the use of the lands, which will be part of the development permit application review and approval process. Again, it should be noted that the use would be considered discretionary and the development permit application will be subject to review and due diligence. The application will be presented to the Municipal Planning Commission for consideration, and should the development permit application be approved, it is subject to appeal. Option 1, that is currently in front of Council, that Council gives second and third reading to the above noted bylaw. Option 2, that Council defer second and third reading of the above noted bylaw. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any discussion on this one? Oh?
Which quarters in this particular application are currently being extracted from? None? Is that the answer?
Through the chair, thank you. I was just pulling that information to confirm, to the best of my knowledge, no extraction has occurred on those quarter sections at all at this time.
According to the development permit, what stipulations were on there regarding the road upgrades?
During his presentation, they said they'd have to pave 33 from their entrance all the way to 16, I believe it was.
So has that been done yet?
No paving has occurred as the permit has not commenced. So the original permit was 2013, with the renewal then was received in 2025, which would be subject to conditions through MPC.
Yeah, as I understand, we had all those presentations last meeting. He didn't know exactly when he wanted to start. It depended on conditions and markets. is what I heard, and he was prepared to make, to upgrade that road at that time. Okay, further discussion? Dale?
Well, I have a question, and that's respect to the fact that this decision is not just for today. It's for tomorrow, it's for many future years. And we're currently looking at, our land use bylaw, we're looking at that. The operator or the owner indicated at the public meeting he had no intention of doing anything right away. So I'm certainly wondering if we can't do the same with this process and just put it on hold a bit till we get our act together on the municipal development plan and the land use bylaw. Maybe it won't conform at all. And we haven't had that discussion yet.
Well, I just, and I'm not opposed to it, but I do want to remind council that we do have a strategic plan that involves development, and part of it was discussion with aggregate extraction as well. We do want to be consistent. We want to, we stated this county is open for business. We want to make sure that we're not sending out a message that we're closed to doing business, and people will once again quit wanting to develop in this county. So I just want to remind council to keep that in the back of their heads. We can't talk out of both sides of our mouth.
My biggest concern with aggregate is the reclaiming of the pits. We need to have something in place that holds them accountable to reclaim it. Because these 20, 30 quarters laying dormant that could be turned back to aggregate or parks or whatever they had to would make a big difference in the public eye. And it makes our county look a lot better. And then we have some pull. Right now we have nothing. And that's my biggest concern. They just leave dormant. These guys had a good plan, reclaim as they go. I'll agree with that. I wish they all had the same plan and we could actually make it a law or bylaw that it actually happens.
Yeah, that, I totally agree with you. Okay, other, Bo?
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Barry there, and that's the purpose of an aggregate resource framework. And we need to sit down, we need to figure out how we're gonna deal with aggregate extraction in Lac St. Anne County. What we're doing here right now is we're looking down basically Range Road 542 as the zone for aggregate extraction. Whether we want that to happen or not, that's a discussion that needs to happen. It also needs to happen with the public in the municipal development planning process. Is that where the public wants the gravel pits? Is that what the public really sees as the future of Lac St. Anne County? And I think that's a discussion that we as council and administration need to have and come up with some sort of framework to carry on with these development approvals.
Dale?
So, and for clarification for everyone, I did not say no, I don't want a gravel pit. What I said I wanted was, I want to make sure that we look after the residents, we look after the area, we do what's best, and when that all works for everybody, including the gravel pit owners, then we have a successful program. That's what I'm looking for.
Thank you. Further discussion?
I will agree with Jurgen that we need to be open for business. We need to be wanting to attract business. We can lower, hopefully, take some ratepayer stress off of them by having businesses come here. But like I said, we need to get some framework in place so that when they're done, it looks like a proper quarter again and it can be used and it's not an eyesore anymore. But I'm all for gravel coming out of this county.
Yeah, and the one thing is, we may want gravel somewhere else to extract it, but if it isn't there, that probably isn't the spot their companies are going to come to. So we got to extract where it is, not where we want it to be.
Maybe we can use some of it for our own roads, closer to the roads.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What's your wish, council?
I would defer it until we get just some little more framework in place so we understand that the reclaiming process, road levy, stuff like that is all put in place. I'd defer it again.
Okay, so you're suggesting same motion as the last one, that we table it till the 23rd of July?
Yes, give us some time to get another couple things
right.
in.
Thank you. Through the chair, just for clarity, so the first application we're looking at legal and risk, but you're also asking for some clear definition around parameters on how we do the mitigation piece as well, correct?
Well,
I got a question for,
I think, I heard a little more than that, Ann. If Bo is suggesting we need a aggregate resource framework. So I don't know what that involves in putting it together. I think that's probably a much longer process. And
That will be, through the chair, that will be a longer process. And we also have to look at Bill 28 and how that's going to affect the aggregate extraction as well, too. So there is quite a bit of moving pieces. So perhaps for the 23rd, we will look at the risk piece, but then we also have to look at the municipal development plan and Bill 28 in conjunction, too.
I'm guessing Bill 28 they may just come in and say extract it and take some of the powers away from us. So the longer we wait, the less we'll have to do. But we won't have any power to control it. That's the risk.
Yeah, that is a risk for sure, but the other risk is we start changing our municipal development plans according to development permit applications. And I don't think that's the intent. I think the intent is to create an area for gravel extraction that we're all happy with, including the public and all stakeholders, not just the pit owners in general. So an aggregate resource framework involves a lot more than a few items. It involves what we have going already. We do have some sort of aggregate bylaw that we have in place, but it doesn't cover what we need to cover, like the reclamation, how we're going to deal with the roads. Roads are a costly item, and it's something that's going to affect our budget heavily this year, especially with the damages that are being occurred right now with the wet weather. And we're going to hear a lot more about roads shortly.
All right.
Are you
Dale?
going to recap the motion?
Well, if it's a tabling motion, legally I can't allow discussion on it, so I really haven't accepted the motion yet. So we're still open.
For this one here, he sounded like he was 2 to 3 years out anyway before he wants to do any extraction here. So how, like, time-wise to make an aggregate framework, like what would that involve roughly?
Through the chair, that would take a longer time and would be part of the municipal development plan. And that's something we're looking at. We need the budget for it, first of all, but it's certainly that something will be put in the budget for 2027. So we won't be having those discussions until September, and we'll be having those discussions with council. To put the money aside, is it approved? We can't put the cart before the horse. The aggregate framework, in my opinion, is part of the larger municipal development plan.
So basically, then, with that, I'm not sure a tabling motion on this one works. Maybe the way you worded it, to defer the decision, and that can be open-ended. So if you'd like to make that, I will accept that as a motion.
I'll defer it as a motion.
Okay, so to defer the decision on this item to a later date. Discussion on that? All in favor? That's carried. All right. We still have some time, so we'll move to bylaw 22-2017, 04-2026. Trina, you're on again.
Thank you. through to the chair. So bylaw 22-2017-04, 2026, is for amending the land use bylaw to regulate the use and development of land and buildings within Lac St. Anne County. So the above noted bylaw, the recommendation from administration is to provide first reading, and that a public hearing be scheduled for July 23rd, 2026. We've revised the time from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. A little bit of summary and background. The current land use bylaw 22-2017 was adopted April 11th of 2019. Since its adoption, administration has made several amendments to the bylaw as it relates to redistricting. However, text amendments specifically related to administrative procedures have not been amended. Administration is proposing amendments to the land use bylaw to improve service levels, department workflows, and efficiencies. The proposed amendments that are in front of you are to provide clarity, streamline process, and position the county for future development and improve application turnaround times. Administration is proposing the following text amendments to Part 2, Administrative Procedures within the Land Use Bylaw. Section 3.1, Control of Development. 3.1.1 has been revised to provide clarity as to when development may occur and when a development permit is required for demolition. Section 3.4, Requirements of a Development Permit. 3.4.1 to 3.4.2 have been revised to replace the requirement of an overland drainage easement and include the requirement of a plot plan and a drainage plan to be looked at holistically. Section 3.7, Notice of Proposed Development. 3.7.1 has been deleted with a new statement to provide clarity and incorporate the newly proposed Development Authority notification policy, which I will speak to in a bit, which is intended to shorten development permit processing times and provide administrative guidance for notification. 3.7.2 has been deleted and incorporated into the newly proposed Development Authority notification policy, which is intended to shorten development permit processing times and provide administrative guidance for notification. 3.9, Decision on Development Permit Applications. 3.9.3 has been deleted to allow the Development Authority, the planners, to decide on discretionary permits if it does not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or doesn't materially interfere with or affect the use and enjoyment or value of neighboring parcels. Otherwise, the application will be presented to the MPC for a decision. The new statement provides clarity on how discretionary permits are managed. 3.10, Variance Powers. 3.10.1 has been deleted and replaced with a statement to provide clarity in that development permit applications requiring a variance will be presented to the Municipal Planning Commission, and further, that subdivision applications requiring variance may be decided by the subdivision authority or the MPC. 3.10.2, a new statement has been added to provide clarity on encroachments on a lot line or an easement. 3.10.3, a new statement has been added to provide clarity regarding a request for a variance. 3.10.4, a new statement has been added to provide clarity on what shall be specified in the development or subdivision application approval. 3.12, Notice of Decision, has been revised to include a statement in accordance with the newly proposed Development Authority notification policy. 3.13, pardon me, Development Permit Conditions. 3.13.24 has been deleted as an overland drainage easement will no longer be part of the development permit process or conditions. It has been replaced with the requirement of a plot plan and a drainage plan in section 3.4, Requirements of a Development Permit. 3.14, Validity of Development Permits. 3.14.1C has been amended from 24 months to 12 months to encourage completion of development projects in a timely fashion. 6.1, contravention. 6.1.1 has been amended to incorporate newly proposed Development Authority notification policy. 6.1.2 pardon me, has been deleted and incorporated into the newly proposed Development Authority notification policy. Part 5, definitions. The following definitions have been added in accordance with the above noted amendments. Area redevelopment plan, area concept plan, Development Authority notification policy, Development Authority, Municipal Government Act, outline plan, plot plan, real property report, subdivision authority. Thank you. Pardon me. There are three options that are presented to you. That the above noted bylaw to amend the land use bylaw to regulate the use and development of land and buildings within Lac St. Anne County be given first reading, and that a public hearing be scheduled for July 23rd at 11 a.m. Option 2, the above noted bylaw be refused, and that a public hearing is not scheduled for July 23rd at 11 a.m. Option 3, that council defer first reading and a public hearing. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Trina. Open for discussion. Bo?
First off, I'd like to commend our development department on doing this. It's cleaning up a lot of old business that should have been cleaned up a long time ago. And there's a lot of questions I have, so I believe an open house may answer a lot of those for me. And I'm all for updating this.
Okay, thank you. Dale?
I would
Barry?
also commend the department on that, because those are the questions that we asked, and I truly appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to go through this and also give us the information on what the changes are, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Barry? Trina?
Thank you, if I may. Included in the summary of the text amendments, administration noticed a slight text amendment on 3.4.3 where it suggests real property report to be used by the town, should be county. That has been corrected. And I also wanted to speak to the notification policy, which I referred to throughout my presentation. So with the land use bylaw amendments, the Development Authority notification policy, which will be brought forward to council in tandem with this bylaw, those sections have been removed from the land use bylaw and incorporated into this policy. And that is one of the biggest amendments is rather than having a 2-mile notification, it's a 0.25 mile notification. And it allows administration to look at it from a holistic approach as to what is necessary and what isn't necessary. And that, pardon me, that saves on administrative workflow as well as cost to the municipality and as notification is being sent out. But know that notification will be appropriately sent out and also included on our website and included in the bulletin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I have one request, Trina. In going through this, I find it very difficult to do it on the computer without having paper. Is it possible, I don't know if anyone who else wants it, but that we get the original land use bylaw with the changes on it and then one clean one? Would that be possible to get a paper copy of that?
Absolutely. Administration will provide that prior to
That'd
the
be
public
great.
hearing.
That way I can make notes. I have a lot of trouble making notes on the computer. And when I do, I can't read the rest of the screen. Ann?
Thank you. And just for clarity and discussion with the manager of planning, and I know we've talked to council about this out of order and making sure we have the appropriate frameworks in place. So the manager of planning and I discussed leaving this until the MDP was done, but we feel that for process sake, we had to do this and this housekeeping, do the first reading, have the public meeting, and then we will, when we complete the MDP and all the public engagement, then we will update the land use bylaw after that point as well. But in the meantime, it was holding up a lot of issues.
Thank you for that. And I'll add that, thank you to administration, as has been said before. This was something that is very necessary, and we appreciate all the work. So, council, any motion? Ed?
We'll go with option one that, no, what are we gonna do? Option two, right? No, option one, yeah, to amend the land use bylaw to regulate the use and development of land and buildings in Lac Saint County be given first reading and a public hearing be scheduled for July 23rd.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? That motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. So we've got a few more minutes here. Did we have another one? Okay, we've got one more for you, Trina. Bylaw 22, 2017, 05, 2026. You're on again.
Thank you. Through to the chair. Bylaw 22-201705, 2026, to amend the land use bylaw, a portion of the southeast of 95604 west of the 5th, from agriculture 1 to aggregate extraction. The recommendation from administration is that County Council give first reading to the above noted bylaw to redistrict from ag to aggregate resource extraction. So a portion of the southeast 95604 west of the 5th was previously rezoned under bylaw 33-2017. Wayfinder Corporation submitted a redistricting application March 3rd of 2026. They hosted a public open house on May 14th of 2026 for this application and for future plans in the area. Comments from the open house submitted as part of Development Permit 26D0108. This information will be available at the office for review and on the website. Road dust, road maintenance, Township Road 560, truck traffic visibility, studies submitted as part of the development permit application. This information will be available at the office for review and on the website. The 2026 activities plan, overview map, imagery topography map, documented site conditions map and cross sections, proposed operations map, conceptual reclamation and conceptual reclamation cross sections, land titles, Alberta Conservation Information Management System, and Fish and Wildlife Management Information, documentation, historical resource approval, development permit documentation, third-party agreements, Alberta Energy Regulator approval, site vegetation assessment, site photos, wetland assessment impact report, surficial sand and groundwater elevations, geological cross sections, process diagram, emergency response plan, stormwater and erosion management plan, security calculations. Within the municipal development plan, this quarter section is within the agricultural heartland policy area. Within the land use bylaw, 9.21 aggregate resource extraction and processing purpose. Also included in there is the definitions within the land use bylaw. So option 1 that is presented in front of council is that County Council give first reading to the above noted bylaw. And that motion 2, that a public hearing for the above noted bylaw be scheduled for July 23rd of 2026 at 10 a.m. Option 2 is that council defer the bylaw. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any discussion? Anyone want to make a motion?
No, I just have a question.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this, the first slide, we have recommendations, those options. I see 2. And then at the end, I see 2. Is that supposed to be that way? Or is it a typo?
I think it went in twice. I noticed that too. It's at the beginning and at the end.
Yes, I believe that's correct. It did go in twice. Our apologies.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Questions? Someone willing to make a motion? Barry?
I do motion, option 1, motion 2, at a public hearing for the bylaw 2020-2017-05-0-2026 to amend the land use bylaw 22-2017, portion of the southeast 095604 west of the 5th, from Ag 1 district to aggregate resource extraction process be scheduled for July 23rd of 2026 at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m.? 10 a.m.? Okay.
Do we need that as 2 separate motions, or can that be combined in one? Ann? It's first reading.
Same time?
It's
Can
first
be
reading.
combined as one.
Okay.
Okay,
and so the
that's-
first reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to read it all.
Okay. No, it was in 2 motions, but if you include it, then we'll do it as one motion, Cindy, that,
Makes more sense.
yeah, that's good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Just one quick comment. So we're asking for another open house,
No. Public hearing.
public hearing.
Public hearing.
Okay, a public hearing. They had an open house a month ago.
They've done their vote.
Okay,
They've
so
done their
that's
open
already
house.
been completed,
Yeah.
so we're in the next step. Thank you.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I just think our terminology, and thank you for that, Deputy Reeve Johnson, we have to be open house, public meeting, we have to be mindful that we're following the proper procedure and using the right terminology. So thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, no, open house is the responsibility of the applicant. The public hearing is the responsibility of the council. All right, all clear on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. All right, so let's go back then. That finishes that section. Let's go to our first presentation. I see Yellowhead Regional Library representatives are here. So if you'd like to make your way to the front, and Donna, I'll pass it over to you to introduce them, please. Oh, okay, we'll have a quick 5-minute break. Okay, we'll be back in 5. And we're moving back to agenda item 6.1, and that's a presentation from the Yellowhead Regional Library. Donna, do you want to introduce?
Good morning, thank you. Yes, I would like to introduce Carla Pelichak. She's the director from Yellowhead Regional Library, and Bridget Conix she's from the town of Bonaway, but she's vice chair for the Yellowhead Regional Library Board. And they're here to do a presentation for you today, and then we'll chat more when they're completed.
I guess she's already done the introduction slide. So I don't really need to do it. You guys all know me here on the council. I'm Bridget Conix, Mayor of the Town of Onaway and the Vice Chair for Yellowhead Regional Library Services. We're excited to come here today and tell you all about our library system and what we've been doing lately and why we're here today.
So Yellowhead Regional Library is a 55-year-old intermunicipal or regional agreement. We have 54 municipalities, 3 school divisions. We are the second largest regional library system in the province out of the 7 that exist. And we have the second largest population served out of the 7 that exist at over 300,000 residents. Regional library systems in Alberta were set up to support the rural libraries and to provide the kind of service to your residents that you would get if you were living in Edmonton or Calgary. What I can say, though, is that some of our e-content is better than what you can get at Edmonton and Calgary because we have the population and the partnerships to be able to expand our services. So every municipality that joins accepts services on behalf of their community to be delivered through the library. So I'd like to paint a picture that in 1970, a bunch of people got together from each one of our municipalities to hash out how they can best support their communities through literacy, and that became forming the regional library system. So we have a master membership agreement that every municipality signs. And that outlines the services that get delivered, how we deliver them, and things like budget and how you join the region and what happens to the assets. So on the screen is a hub, we like the circle imagery, of all of the type of questions that your libraries get and have to support. So skills and job training, materials, local workshops, health and wellness resources, social connections, dealing with social isolation and other issues, literacy issues. Yellowhead sits behind all of that, and we provide the services and support that take away the grunt work or the high-priced activities that libraries have to engage in so that your library staff can focus on what they do best, which is serving community and helping your residents address each one of those segments on the circle. So we act more as a library for libraries or as a condo board, but really we're an intermunicipal regional agreement. I think that's all I'm going to say about that. If I can scroll, I think that's you.
So, libraries. Libraries enable access to information and ideas, ensure equitable access to internet and computers, and embrace lifelong learning. So, by enabling access to information and ideas, we're open to everybody. We don't discriminate. We have an open forum for everybody to come and partake in the accessing of that type of information, despite what Bill 28 might be trying to do. And we have the equitable access to internet computers. So with YRL, they're able to provide internet access to all of our member libraries, so all of our residents have free access to the internet. So we have people that can't afford internet at home. And there's a lot of times when I'm coming to a library board meeting in Onaway, and we have people waiting outside for the library to open so that they can access the internet. This is where they can perform job searches in job banks, connect with family that they otherwise wouldn't be able to connect with. The other thing that we're now doing, the government has closed a bunch of the offices for the tenant dispute boards, and we now have to do that as libraries. So that's something that another service downloaded onto libraries that YRL makes an affordable option for our libraries to offer for free to our communities, which then enables lifelong learning. When you have access to information and no restrictions on that, you're able to be a lifelong learner and keep yourself going regardless of your situation in life. So our libraries are essential to sustaining our local development because a lot of developers or new businesses, one of the key things they look for in a community is a library. So an access to a library is a successful community. So that's one of the really important things that we keep going in our especially a small community. A library is a hub for a lot of things, events, people, learning, businesses, and it's one of the first things a new business or developer will look for in a community. Libraries can help with job and career training. It helps people discover new careers, find post-secondary programs. People can use the internet to attend those post-secondary programs that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do at home, and provides community connections because libraries are a free, safe space for everybody to visit. So through that, we celebrate literacy. We have programs for children and youth to support their reading and literacy skills to keep them engaged and excited about learning and reading for the entirety of their lives.
For the first time, Yellowhead was able to pass a 5-year strategic plan. I say for the first time because we were restricted by the Libraries Act and regulations to a 3-year plan. So now that with a 5-year plan starting in 2026, we're able to take a longer-term view of what our programs and services should be. Now, when we develop this plan, we read and absorb the plans of all of our municipalities that are members, as well as the school divisions, so that each one of our members can see themselves in our strategic plan, and that we are able to ensure that our programs and services are aligned with what they want to achieve. I will say that we do not see our libraries as cookie cutters. We see them as individuals. Each library site has different needs. They all have different requirements and different supports. So we deal with them as individuals. We answer their questions as individuals, and we try to listen and meet their needs as best we can. So for 2026 to 2030, we decided to break out of the rectangle mode of a strategic plan and go into a strategic compass. At the center of everything we do is relationships. It's our relationships with the library staff, your library staff's relationships with your community. It's our relationships with our executive and our board, and vice versa. And you can see that continuity of information and connection in our logo, where information flows in and information flows back to Yellowhead. So we are taking a very pragmatic approach to our plan for the next 5 years, mainly because of a shifting environment and ongoing volatility. And the only thing that won't change is the relationships with the boards, the staff, the members, the libraries, the partners, and your stakeholders. So our 3 primary areas are environment, people, and technology, and everything we do is geared through this lens. So much for the scrolling being easier. Issues and pressures, like everybody else, every other association, we are seeing that there is change and volatility in the environments that we are working in. So for us, the volatility includes the economy, tariffs, and cost increases. We're seeing that with books and materials and e-resources that come across the border. So what we do to address that is source new suppliers, and we do bulk purchases. We encourage and try to get our members to order as much as they possibly can through us, not just books, but computer equipment as well, as we can realize a 30 to 60% discount on anything that we purchase on behalf of the libraries. And then the other way we need to address volatility right now because of the cost increases is through a revised levy rate. Uncertainty, we went through municipal elections and upcoming provincial election. We saw a 60% turnover on the Yellowhead board and a 60% turnover on the executive. So out of an executive of 10, I have 4 of them that have been on the board longer right now than 6 months. So we address that through advocacy, information to councils, a very robust board orientation. We hosted an open house, and we are hosting what is now the largest public library conference outside of Toronto in October, and it's called Stronger Together. The registration is open. It's in Edmonton. We hope to see you all there. There's my plug for continuing education. Changes. We are in a changing society, changing environment. So technology is driving some of this change, as is cybersecurity threats and our population shifts. We take the cybersecurity threats very seriously. We're dealing with this through heightened technology vigilance, heightened tools to the libraries, heightened training to the libraries, so that we can prevent as much as we can any cybersecurity incident that would put your residents in a compromised position. And then, of course, ambiguity. Changes to provincial policy being the biggest one right now through Bill 28 and how it impacts libraries. We're pending on the regulations, so we're working in the dark. We address this through preparation, through doing a lot of visioning and futuring exercises, and then communicating everything we know to our member library boards and to our member library staff, and provide them with as much information and process as we can. So, Yellowhead helps your municipality meet the needs of your residents through your public libraries. We enable them to access hundreds of resources that your libraries could not afford to do on their own. It's our collective buying power and our collective hive mind and brain that helps to stretch every dollar that we get and provide a better service to your residents. So this is just some of the areas that we support the local libraries in. Again, shared materials and our purchasing power with our discounts. I have to say our relationships with our vendors are amazing, and we don't pay shipping costs. And we pay very limited amount for processing. Technology, we have an exceptional relationship with our vendors. So when there is a problem, like with the wildfires that happened over the last couple of years, some equipment, network equipment was damaged. Yellowhead owns that equipment. It's on our insurance, on permanent loan to your libraries, but our vendors replaced any damaged equipment for free because they wanted to be seen as supportive to the libraries going through a very difficult time. We do a lot of training and support to staff. There's been a new library director in Darwell, and our staff went out there. They've been out there 5 times to ensure that she knows how to use the resources to the best of her ability. We do policy development support, so as the library board has questions around the new privacy legislation, we are able to provide that kind of support. And then networking and community of practice. So when I say our libraries are not cookie cutters, we mean it, and we bring them together as a big group 4 times a year, but then we also bring them together as community of interest. So all of our county library boards will come together once to twice a year to talk about the issues and tell us what the issues are when they're running a county library. Our annual report for 2025 was provided to administration. One number I would like to highlight here is we moved 2.03 million items out of our building to our libraries last year. So if anybody tells you that print is dead, that nobody's using print, we moved over 2 million print items to the libraries. Now, this was one way, not there and back again. We only count them once, but that is, and we have now exceeded pre-COVID numbers. So we were expecting to break 1 million last year, but we didn't, but we certainly, or 2 million last year, but we certainly did it in 2025. E-resources and technology is still very highly used and a highly desirable resource. The thing is, this content is incredibly expensive. We can pay upwards of $80 to $800 per title, depending on popularity and the publisher. So we work with the other 7 regional library systems to ensure that we are making the best use of our funds by pooling them. And titles that are not in heavy use at Yellowhead are in heavy use somewhere else in the province, so we're sharing the access that we have. Yellowhead, through our relationships with the Canadian Federation of Library Associations and urban libraries, are involved in a national and international push with the publishers to drive down the cost to public libraries for e-content and e-resources. And as an aside, when I look at the use by Lac St. Anne County residents and include Alberta Beach and Onaway to that, the use of the e-resources by your residents is higher than the combined total use from Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, and Beaumont, which is our largest communities. So heavy use of the e-resources in this area, which I think is amazing. So our priorities for 2026 is we are completing a project to take over maintenance and oversight of all of the public computers in the region. That's almost 900 machines that will manage by Yellowhead. This will reduce any cybersecurity risk and any privacy risk to your residents. We are moving our core library software to a cloud-hosted solution. The vendor dropped their price by over $300,000 a year for hosting, and it is now more cost-effective of us to do that. It also prevents any risk to our residents if the power goes out at Yellowhead and nobody can get access to it. It means moving to a cloud that they can. We are, of course, continuing to work through POPA and ATIA policies and procedures. And we provided all of the libraries last year and this year ongoing with something called the Patron Incident Tracking Software, or PITS, which is a horrible acronym. But what it does is allow a consistent way for library staff to look at any incidences that are happening in their libraries. So situations of violence directed toward library staff, or incidences where they might need to call the RCMP and track that over time. And it gives a standard way to report and a standard way to generate those results, which has been heavily used since we've integrated it. There we go. Our continuing priorities for 2026 include advocacy right now with the province around library funding, and an increase for the public libraries to get additional funds from the province to recognize their additional roles, like the tenant dispute resolution process. We continue to look for more partnerships, and we are doing a lot of training around Bill 28, de-escalation of any incidences, and a lot of policy development.
Now we get to everybody's favorite part. We get to talk about the money. We talk about what you pay, why you pay it, and what you get for that dollar. Did you lose your spot?
Of course I did, because, you know, that's the scrolling is easy. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the levy is based on a population of 11,300 at $4.75 per capita. That's the 2025 rate. That's based on services to Darwell, Rich Valley, and Sangudo libraries. The next slide will provide you, where are we over there? Okay. Provides the context for this discussion. We've transitioned from an ask to showing you what it is that the funding levy increase is for, because we've reached what we've needed under the contract in order to implement the funding increase thus far. So for many years, YRL's levy remained stable at $4.30 per capita, and we've had modest increases since 2020 that have brought the 2026 rate to $4.85. I can tell you from sitting on this board for the last 5 years, and being a part of another library board, that's just not enough money for the population that we serve. And, you know, this levy increase became such an important hot button discussion that it became, what are we gonna have to cut and what are our libraries gonna lose? So the municipal contributions have not kept pace with the rising costs and service demands. And every time we try to make an amendment or something to our contract, it ends up a pretty big disaster. I think one time it took, what, 2 years?
3 years.
3 years to get everything decided while the contract was open and renegotiating. So obviously, we don't approach this lightly. So the proposed adjustment is from $4.85 to $5, well, it's not proposed anymore, this is what's happening. $5.60 per capita, and that corrects the gap by aligning municipal funding with the true cost of services already being provided. This is a per capita adjustment, and this is not about adding new programs or expanding services. It's about accountability and paying the true cost of the services the municipal libraries are already receiving. This aligns municipal contributions with the actual cost of services being provided and supports YRL's ability to meet its obligations under our master membership agreement. So for rural municipalities, the key point is stability here. Small libraries rely on the shared regional services, the technology, collections, and expertise that we would otherwise not be able to afford. An individual library could not afford the extensive collections that they have access to without YRL. They also don't have the capability to house permanently these extensive collections, so the ability to send away and receive new is huge for our small libraries, because our content can always be changing with the needs of our community at the time. So when the funding falls short, provincial dollars meant to support innovation and equity improvements are used to cover the operational gaps. So this is about stability, not growth, and ensuring our communities continue to receive the contracted services without disruption. So the cost to residents is small and the benefit is significant. The practical takeaway is that the cost to residents is minimal, roughly the cost of 2 coffees per year for an average household, but the benefit is significant. Supporting this adjustment restores accountability by returning provincial funding to its intended purpose and stabilizes YRL so the system can maintain investments in collections, digital resources, and shared infrastructure. This isn't about growth or ambition, it's about sustainability, accountability, and paying the true cost of services that we already rely on. You can take that one.
Through YRL and our relationships with other partners, we can offer over 3 million items, items via track. That's the coordination group that we have to share resources with and do a partnership with. We offer over 600,000 ebooks, 111,000 audiobooks, and 300,000 music and videos and more. Yellowhead also pays the costs for the internet service through Alberta SuperNet, and we also support the costs and the delivery of the Wi-Fi service that your libraries use. And we can frequently see people in their vehicles outside the libraries doing what they need to do on their phones or on their tablets during the library's closed hours. So we are still extending services into the community even when the libraries are closed.
So in short, we bring the world to your residents. So thank you for listening to us today, and we invite your questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions through to the YRL team? Dale?
A brief explanation on that cyber software. I'd like to hear about that.
Through the chair to council, just to clarify, the cybersecurity items that we're doing or the patron incident software? Okay.
Just talking about cybersecurity
Okay.
in general.
Perfect, thank you. Everything, it seems to start with the word cyber right now. The Cybrarian is a piece of software that helps the libraries manage the public access internet bookings for their residents. So what it does is, in concert with another piece of software called Deep Freeze, if I was to go into Darwell's library, use the public computer, when I log in with my library card, it would wipe out the memory, any saved documents from the person before me. So that when I open up that computer, I'm not seeing somebody's banking information, tax information, any cookies that they used, or their health information. The library staff will have a control panel where if a resident says, I do not want my child to use the internet in this library, the staff can block that card from internet access. Or if they say, make sure that my child does have internet access, we can make it there as well. Further, if somebody is doing something on the computer that they should not be doing against library policy, then staff can cut that session and block them from using it. So it does many things. And it also allows for print job management. So if I wanted to print off my tax documents, it would manage that process so that my print job is not sitting on top of a printer where my next door neighbor could see what I'm doing. So it manages the privacy, it provides better controls, and an easier way to manage how the computers are used, which means we can get better data about how those computers are used and if a site needs an additional computer or not. So we can look at their use hours as well now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barry?
You mentioned that you saved a pile of money on hosting, up to $300,000 difference in price. What are you paying for it right now?
Through the chair to council, we are not paying anything for the cloud hosting right now. Yellowhead does that on behalf of our consortia. What we are getting is, what are we paying? About $100,000 a year for the next 5 years to cloud host a very complicated piece of library software that controls the circulation of the materials. This is hosted on a secure server owned by our provider in Canada, and it's not an Amazon server. It belongs to the Clarivate, which is the company that provides us with the software. They dropped the price from over $400,000 US to $100,000 Canadian. So for us, that is a significant savings, and that is because we are their largest consortial partner outside of Chicago. So, and they've been around for decades. So we trust them. They wanted our business. They threw in a bunch of free stuff and made it worth our while to move. And we'll be able to provide better, more secure service now.
Okay, no, that's a substantial savings, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Well, if not, I thank you for your presentation. It was very informative, very good. Appreciate it, and could I have a motion to accept it for information? Moved by Jill that we accept for information. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us down to our 11 o'clock appointment, Terrick Power presentation. So if you'd like to make your way up here, and once you're settled in, please turn on the mic and introduce yourselves and move ahead with your presentation. Yep, go ahead.
Good morning, Council. Thank you for having us in today. My name is Kevin Gilmick. I'm the President and CEO of Terrick Power, and we've brought in a presentation to talk to you about an update on our Pioneer Power Center, PPC project. I've also brought Hayden Minta with us. He's Terrick's construction manager. And Brad Alexander, he is Terrick's engineering and operations manager. So please interrupt us with any questions you might have. Happy to keep this as informal as you see fit. So we were last in this building in about June of last year, where we presented to the Governance and Priorities Committee. And so yeah, again, thank you for having us back in to give an update on the project and talk about the progress and updated timing. So plan to give you an overview of who Terrick Power is, a bit about our history, a little bit more about the PPC project. We'll get into details about what the project, its components is made up and what it's planning to do in the future. And then we'll talk about location, schedule, and the path to development. And then, of course, time for questions. So Terrick Power was formed in 2013. We are a privately held Alberta-based company. We're headquartered in Calgary. We have done a number of developments almost exclusively in the province of Alberta, but we've done a little bit in Saskatchewan and the East Coast as well. Probably in and around 2018, we switched almost exclusively to building large-scale battery energy storage projects. They were unique at the time. We were the first to bring on a project of this type in Alberta, and I think still to date we've developed almost or over half of all projects by megawatt in the province. So we pride ourselves on our ability to find niche opportunities and work within those, within the current regulations. So we have built about 9 thermal power projects, and to date we've built 7 battery projects. So we're hoping to see this as our 8th. And we build all projects as if we're going to own them. We've been working on this one since we've been imagining this one since early 2020 and really picked a location and started working on it in detail in April 2024.
Sure. How close does that mic need to be? Okay. Is that working? Okay.
You just have to cuddle up a little.
Okay. So this slide, we can't quite see it all, but yeah, basically this gets into kind of what the purpose, intent of the project, the PPC project is. So I guess in a nutshell, there's two components to the project. There's the thermal gas generation, which is very traditional generation. These would be deployed in a peaking mode. So basically when the electricity grid needs more power, then they would turn on and provide that power. The batteries themselves are a little more multi-purpose. They can charge when there's too much power on the grid for things like excess, if excess renewables or there's just not the demand there, they can take that excess power and store it for later. Obviously, they can also discharge if there's events where power is needed. And then they also do reliability services, which is not as much about, storing power. It's more about keeping the grid stable in times of fluctuation. So if a large transmission line goes down quickly, there are programs within the grid operations, the AESO, the operator of the system, the batteries will actually react to that very quickly and help keep things, on, for lack of a better word.
Can I just ask a question? So this automatically happens, or is it price related? So that you buy the power at a cheap rate and then sell it at a high rate? Or does it happen automatically just by need?
Well, you're kind of talking two different things. So the battery can take on power at a lower price and then discharge at a higher price. That would be more of what we'd call commodity operations. But when we're talking about reliable or the reliability piece, it's actually a program within AESO that you have to be, licensed to perform, and you do get paid to provide that service, but that happens automatically. Once you're in that service, you set up your system properly, and it would actually do that without much intervention.
And maybe just expanding on your question and echoing what Brad shared, a bit of background. So 10, 20 years ago, power in Alberta, like most jurisdictions, they were very centralized. We had a small number of large facilities, typically coal, and they were really good at being very reliable. And in the last 5-7 years, Alberta, depending on which side you sit on, they've been very successful at building renewable power projects, and that's really changed what the grid has need. So to expand on what Brad has shared, the needs of the grid have really changed. We've gone from price being driven by demand of the businesses and residents of Alberta to now being much more on-off renewable pricing. It's no secret that when renewables come on, they all come on at the same time, and that drives the price to near zero. So, in the last 2-3 years, we've started to see many zero-priced hours for a long time, but what that causes is when those renewables come off, the price jumps. So batteries straddle that. As Brad said, that's playing commodity. So we will charge the battery. One thing the battery can do is we'll charge the battery at zero priced hours. And when the price jumps up, the battery gets discharged, bringing the price to a lower average price for customers of Alberta. And then the other thing renewables does, or doesn't do actually, is they don't provide reliability to the grid. And so Brad talked about the automated reliability service the batteries provide. We offer the program into the AESO, the Independent System Operator of Alberta, and I'm very simplifying it, but it sits there until the grid gets in trouble, and then it discharges very, very fast, typically in under 200 milliseconds. And it's really only batteries that can do that. And what that does is prevent brownouts and blackouts and really holds us at 60 hertz, the frequency of the grid. So it's an excellent question, and we're maybe getting too much into the details, but yeah, we joke that batteries are Swiss Army knives because they can offer a lot of services to the grid. Did we answer your question?
That's excellent, because that's sort of been going through it. I didn't totally understand it. Already, you've clarified a lot of my questions. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move on. So just an image, conceptual image. This is the actual image of the PPC project. We just highlighted a few things just for a visual kind of standpoint. The lower left units here, you can see with cooling fans on the top, those would be the thermal gas-fired generators. So when I mentioned peaking, those would be the units that would provide that peaking service when additional power is required. And then to the right, looks similar, but different are, these are the battery energy storage units. So large container type looking units, each one is roughly around 2 megawatts of storage. There's a pair of them that's tied to a transformer. And then really the kind of the flow of power, everything gets cabled over to your control building control building. And then there's a grid connection out to, a 3-phase overhead power line. And, power's moving in both directions, but not a large footprint for these sites, typically around 1 or 2 acres, fully fenced, and mostly everything is, the cabling is all installed underground. That's a visual. Want to add?
Yeah, maybe just to add, so the facility will be visited by a physical operator on a daily basis, but primarily it will be unmanned in the evenings. And we have multiple tiers of surveillance of it. So installed on the site, it talks about lighting and surveillance. The lighting will not be on at regular times. The surveillance will have both thermal imaging cameras and your traditional security camera, thank you. And then we monitor it at 3 levels. So the battery manufacturer, someone like Tesla, they operate control centers around the globe. They will monitor the batteries at the individual battery level. And then Terek will monitor the site 24/7 to ensure it's available, it's in service to the AESO, it will operate as planned. And then we also have what's known as a real-time dispatch center. Basically, what the dispatch center does is they sit in between the AESO, the system operator, and the physical site. So when the AESO says, please dispatch the power, it's the real-time dispatch center's job. So the site is, it's a little bit like an oil and gas facility in the way it's visited by a physical operator, but it is actually under much more scrutiny and surveillance by real humans, 365.
Just one question again. So this one is not just batteries, it also generates power.
Yes.
So you do have a gas generator.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
as Brad shared, and as I think you're viewing it on the left-hand side.
Right.
Yeah, two gas-fired generators.
Okay.
They are 9 megawatts combined.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's for your longer-term demands. So
Yeah.
batteries do have a limit. That is,
Yeah.
of course, the duration.
So will they be running all the time? The gas generators?
It depends. No. Brad alluded to that. They're what's known as peaking. Typically, peaking generators in Alberta and other jurisdictions, they operate about 15% of the time.
Okay,
So
all right.
the easiest case example is when renewables come off, sun goes down, wind comes off, everyone comes home, turns on the TV and does laundry, demand goes up, these come in behind and help support the grid to generate. And the batteries, you know, I alluded to it, they have a limit and they run out of duration. So they're really good at very small, very fast shots of power. The gas-fired generators are the longer term outages, February when it's minus 40 and no sun and no wind for 2 weeks. That's where they come in.
Just a couple questions here. Like, why was this location chosen this close to a town?
Yeah, good question. So, Brad, please weigh in and help me. When we're picking a location, first we look at a very high level. So in this part of the world, and the ASO divides up the province into bigger pieces. So coming out of Grand Prairie, which this area is lumped into, it is considered load heavy with no generation. So we know that generation is required in this area. So we first begin to narrow down on that. And then we're balancing a couple of things. So with this site, you're primarily balancing access to resources. So you have to have an appropriate power line in the area, which this does. And on this facility, you also have to have the natural gas line. So we triangulate the best possible site, and this is the one we landed on. And then we begin to get into the finer details and following the regulations. So begin to do our noise impact studies, make sure it's not adding additional noise to the area and is staying below requirements. So that's how we narrowed into this site to the northeast.
And what is your noise impact study? Because nowhere do you have a decibel level. Like when these generators are running, are they turbine or are they just big Waukesha gas engines, or what are you putting in there?
Yeah, these will be reciprocating units.
And the noise level of them will be, how far is the noise gonna affect people? Because there's quite a few people in this area that, you know, live within a mile of it, right? So, and then I also had a question about your ERP plan. Like if one of these containers of batteries does go up in flames, what's your response time? How are you gonna evacuate people? You know, there's a lot to decipher with this, right?
Yeah, good question. So maybe I'll tackle the noise one first. So the noise impacts us. I don't know the decimal readings off the top of my head. We've completed the noise impact assessment, and that is below the AUC requirement for both daytime and nighttime noise. Happy to provide it, and it's public information that is held within our overarching application, which goes to the Alberta Utilities Commission. So now on to your question about ERP and safety. So we have been communicating with Fire Chief Randy Schroeder for a couple of years now. He's been provided our draft ERP. What we have proposed is that when we go to construction and the project gets built, we'd like to do a desktop review with him to go through, and then once construction gets closer to being finished and before we go to commissioning and startup, we'd like to do invite the fire department out and have them out for a day of training to get familiar with them. So our ERP does include aspects of both the batteries and the thermal generators. It's not, it doesn't require any specialized equipment or services. They're fought with water, right? And so we have our, a bit like our surveillance, we have our multiple lines of defense for emergency response plan as well. Brad, did I miss anything?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I'd maybe just add on to the noise thing, like the whole noise impact assessment process, it does take into account the residents. Like obviously there are residents around this location, so they do, you know, draw a circumference around the site and make sure that the noise, potential noise from the site is not going to impact those residents, and that is the process of the noise impact assessment.
And what is that circumference?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Kevin, do you know?
We publicly consult out to 1.5 kilometers, and then we analyze receptors within that, emitters and receptors. So, you know, there are emitters, there's the industrial sector that is between us and primarily the residences, and as well the railroad and things. So We do both desktop and noise capturing. We had our specialty noise consultant out, I think twice last year to take sample readings, and then we have the model data from the units that are proposed. Did we answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Thank you.
Dale?
Mike, you were asking about the model. These are made by Yambacher, and they're fully enclosed sound suppression building around these things. They're a V20 recip unit, and they are, like you asked about turbo, they are turbocharged. But they are fully enclosed.
But they're not turbines though, eh?
No, recip.
And then just one additional comment, we also have upgraded the muffler and sound attenuation system to what is referred in the industry as hospital grade muffler. So it's at a premium product. It's much lower than some of what you might see in more true rural areas.
So from my personal perspective and from my background of being close to that area, I can see why you picked where you picked. It's a major substation for a huge area. And I don't think the rest of council realizes the area that substation actually covers. It goes well beyond Rich Valley from Onaway, and it goes towards Alberta Beach, and it goes towards Calahoo, and it goes towards Nakaman Lake. So I see your purpose there, and Mike brought up some good points about the fact, we have to be concerned as there's noise, and you've indicated that you have done studies and they're not as noisy as we originally thought on the style of generation that it was. So I think it's a perfect thing for 2026 and beyond, honestly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Do you have any other projects that are similar in size and scope as this one that we can refer to?
Yeah, great question. So I shared that this is our 8th battery project. Our previous projects have, so this, to be specific about the battery, this is a 15.4 megawatt battery project. All of our previous 7 projects have either been between 15 and 40. So yeah, so this is a size we're very familiar with. We've worked with many of the manufactured components we have before. This is our first, what we call co-located. The Pioneer Power Center is co-located thermal and batteries. We've built thermal separately, we've built batteries separately. Now we're just bringing those two components together. It's actually a first of a kind in the province of this type.
And where is another one that's close to our vicinity?
Close to here would be, Hardisty is too far away. Grand Prairie. Rycroft, we got a couple up in Claremont, just north of Grand Prairie.
You'd never know otherwise. The batteries, other than the fans clicking on and off, and Brad shared, we've had some teething problems with equipment being in cold locations and things, as you'd expect. But it's been very sort of Terex and vendor centric. I think for the sites themselves, I think Hayden spoke very well about it. We're very conscious of dust control and security during construction. Construction, which will last 4 months, I think we're projecting on this project. There is periods where it is disruptive because of the number of trucks. We can't offload the equipment super fast, so we space out the larger trucks, couple of days sort of thing, and we try and be conscious. Our Rycroft facility is very similar to this one in the terms of the number of stakeholders that 1.5 kilometer radius touch. So we're experienced and familiar with how to manage that. And Hayden will be what we refer to as the person in charge on site, and his details will be listed on the gate as we construct, so people have an outlet to raise concerns and we can address them.
Thank you. Mike? Oh, okay, Dale? Okay, Dale?
So my question would be a pretty direct one. How close to taking a development permit are you?
I think the schedule is actually coming up next.
It's in
Yeah, good good.
I see that
patience.
slide, but I didn't see any part about a development permit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's in there.
we've been working with Lac St. Anne County and your team, and thank you for that support. So we really first began speaking to you April of last year. Compliments, great back and forth. We don't come to see you for a development permit until we have our AUC license in hand. That's what we refer to as the umbrella permit. Until we have that, we frankly don't waste your time because we need that first. So we are hoping to receive our AUC license later this year, April 2026. So, or sorry, late 2026. So we may come back for a development permit late this year, early next year. We're hoping construction starts, March, April of next year. So we've got time to receive the AUC license and come see you and answer additional details for that ultimate development permit.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Anything else? No?
No, simply a thank you.
Yeah.
I repeat myself, your team in this building and through the county have been very helpful. The fire department, I spoke, Randy has been excellent and very receptive. So, thank you. And hopefully it doesn't sound too cliche, but we very much like the two-way conversation. If there's concerns, they get raised. And so, yeah, I think we're in front of you here today to invite that continued conversation. And again, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for, first of all, the project that you've chosen our county to be in. We appreciate that. We appreciate your openness and presentation. And yeah, we'd certainly like to continue to work with you in any other parts of the county as well. So thank you for coming, and I would entertain a motion to accept the report for information. Mike moves that. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so that moves us to item 6.3, the Sangito Opportunity Development Corporation. So, Dan, you bringing the rest of the team up too, Brian? So please have a seat, introduce yourself, and move ahead with your presentation. Don't forget to turn on the mic before you start speaking.
So I'm Dan Oler, and as one of 34 members of Sangito Opportunity Development Co-op, I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for giving us this time, and thank you to Ann and Cindy for organizing this. We're not even here for money, so.
Good.
We're just here to share this idea of what's been created in the community that really is about community resilience. We are living in turbulent times. We've heard about that from some of the other presenters. You hear about that if you turn on the radio. This is a way for us as local citizens to take charge and be accountable for our own economic success. So we really think that this is a time for a new approach in how we deal with things. So it's about, instead of what goes on in the world, this is more about cooperation rather than competition. It's about sharing rather than accumulating. How can we succeed together? About oneness rather than separation, and it might sound airy-fairy, but it's about approaching things with love rather than not love. How can we do things and work together and everybody succeed? I've got an acquaintance in Australia, Peter Kenyon, and he goes around the world working with depleted, deprived small communities that are really struggling. And he helps them to notice what's really going on in their communities and then to thrive. And he has a phrase that I just love. It's focus on what's strong rather than what's wrong. And if you look around our community, our county, we have so much going for us right here that we oftentimes overlook. And so that's really what we've done with SODC, is to strive to focus on what we have, the gifts we have in our community, not only in our location, but the people that we have primarily. Lac St. Anne County is where we started with SODC. However, we've changed our articles of incorporation where now we can be an umbrella for projects that are in any of the counties that touch the county of Lac St. Anne, as well as any of the municipalities that are within those counties. So we've got a large reach of where we can offer some of these projects. A little history on how this happened. Some of you might remember years ago, Northern Gateway Regional School Division threatened to close the high school in Sangudo. Well, that pissed people off, it got people a little excited, and many meetings were called and people came together in big crowds to figure out what we could do to keep the school open. And it got to be a bit of a legal fight, so that Northern Gateway did keep the high school open for another 5 years. However, that's gone now. But what we really wanted to do was, we didn't want to fight. It's about how can we find a way to make our communities more appealing for families to move so that we've got more kids that can go to school. So back at that point, we learned about a program through Alberta Recreation and Parks Association. It was called ACE Communities. It meant active, creative, and engaged. So we applied, a group of local citizens, and were accepted. And we had support of some community coaches that came and worked with us. We were able to tap into some outside resources. And in one day in, I think it was 2005 maybe, well over 100 volunteers came out in little old Sangudo to build a new playground, a skate park, beach volleyball court, horseshoe pitches, a bunch of other cleanup and fix-up. It was about a $250,000 project, all done by volunteers. An amazing thing. Well, however, if you took a little walk uptown in Sangudo, it was not quite the same picture, where probably half of the buildings were sitting vacant, a lot of them dilapidated. If you walk down Main Street today, some of it's still the same way. But there was a group of us that thought, how can we use the skills we learned in that ACE program and apply it to our local economy to do something about these vacant business buildings? So we didn't know how to do it, but we learned about a program through the Alberta Community and Cooperative Association, where they were awarding 2 communities in Alberta some funding to do a feasibility study to start a co-op. So we applied, and for some reason they accepted us, and we looked at a whole range of different business ideas in the community. Our intent was to be kind of a incubator where we could support entrepreneurs to start new businesses, to maybe take over for older entrepreneurs, to expand their businesses. And so we headed down this path. We looked at a lot of different businesses, and finally we came up with a project, and it was the first one of, we've just completed our 9th project. I'll go through each one of them briefly. The first one was May of 2010, where we incorporated Sangudo Opportunity Development Co-op. We call it just SODC now. And we purchased the Sangudo Custom Meat Packers. The operator at that point had been running it for 25 years. He wasn't able to sell it. He was willing to walk away, just shut the doors. 2 of our members, Jeff Sanger and Kevin Meyer, were keen to take that business on, but they couldn't get conventional financing. So we collected from 22 members, local citizens, enough money to purchase the property. We sat with these entrepreneurs and worked with them on their business plan to come up with a 3-year lease agreement where to support them to succeed. And it worked really, really well. So SODC actually owned the real estate and leased it out to them. And they had, at the end of the term, they had a first right of refusal to purchase the property at a very reasonable pre-agreed price. So they wanted to develop the facility. A year later, the Legion decided to close down their building. They couldn't keep it operating. 2 entrepreneurs in the community wanted to start a restaurant, a community gathering place, very much needed in the community. So SODC collected some more money from local members to purchase the property, worked a similar 3-year lease with them to help them to renovate the building to open Connections Coffee House. Now that operated for 6 or 7 years very successfully and has now transitioned several times to the business that's operating there today, still supporting our community. The ink was just drying on that project, and Jeff and Kevin from the meat shop came back to us. The facility was in really bad shape, and they had applied for a grant. It was a federal provincial government grant for food and animal security, and but it was a matching grant, and they didn't have cash, so we collected a bunch more local money to support them to do the renovations, where it's a world-class processing facility that continues to operate today. Now, that 3-year lease came to term. They weren't able to get conventional financing, so we lent them a little bit more money, rolled it all together to support them to buy the facility from us, and they continue to operate that where SODC holds a mortgage and continues to support them. The 3-year lease at the Connections Coffee House came to term. The entrepreneur was able to purchase the building outright, so that has continued on as well. Some other projects, we realized that there was a really good supply of poor housing in the community, so we gathered some money and purchased 3 residential lots just east of the vet clinic in Sangudo from the County of Lac St. Anne. And the idea was to build a home on one, sell it, build a home on the next one, sell it, build a home on the next one, and sell it, and continue doing that kind of stuff in the community. Well, we used a really unique financing model and built a beautiful 1,360 square foot home. Right at that point, the Alberta economy had kind of taken a bit of a shake, and the real estate markets tumbled, and we weren't able to sell it at that point. So we rented it out for several years, and then eventually did sell it to a local business, and it's at a profit for local investors. None of us had the courage to build any more homes after going through what we did, so we sold the other 2 lots to some people from Edmonton, and their intent was to move here. However, I don't believe they have at this point. A couple years later, the United Church came for sale. Jeff Singer, the owner of Sangudo Custom Meats, wanted to buy the building, and their intent was to put some equipment in there to take bones that they were paying to get rid of and make bone broth, and there's a large market for that. They were going to take the fat from the meat shop that they're paying to get rid of and turn that into tallow for the French fry market. And so we collected local money and supported them to buy the building and a loan for the equipment. Through further research, they decided not to put the equipment in the building, but the building is being used still, hosting meetings and weddings and different events that go on in the community. One of the businesses that supports Sangudo Custom Meat Packers, North Country Meats, Brad and Ricky Jesperson, they run a feedlot and a big farming operation south and west of Mayerthorpe. In fact, all of the animals that they butcher go through the Sangudo Custom Meat Packers. And anyway, they had been renting 3/4 sections of land for many years, and the owner decided to sell the land on a fairly short timeline. And so rather than dealing with the banks, Brad and Ricky came to SODC for some support. It took a little time. However, we were able to collect a bunch of local money from local caring citizens and help them to purchase that land, so it continues to operate as it has before. Now, our 9th project we're just completing right now. A massage therapist in Mayerthorpe has been operating there for several years, doing great work. She was renting a facility, the building that's just directly west of the Rexall drugstore, and the person who owned the building wanted to sell it, and so she came to SODC for some support. So we collected local money from some of her patrons and other people and helped her to purchase that building. So SODC really is about supporting entrepreneurs to really succeed in their businesses. And here's why it matters. We're not waiting for outside developers to come into our community. It's in the community, it's for the community, and it's by the community. So rather than, for entrepreneurs to go to the bank and make shareholders in Toronto or somewhere else rich, it's helping to provide good services in our community and a little bit of return to local people who support the business. How does it work? Well, when we have a project, people buy a membership share. It's a co-op which operates by a democratic principle, one member, one vote. So by buying a membership share, members have a say in how the co-op is run. If we have a project, we sell community shares. The lawyers call them investment shares. That's the money that then goes into the projects. Now, one of the beautiful things that we have access to through an association with an organization called Common Good Capital is that we can tap into local citizens' RRSPs and tax-free savings accounts. Now, what that means is that, you know, for people like you who maybe have put money away in RRSPs or TFSAs, and that money's tied up in businesses somewhere else in the world, that money can be redirected right back into projects right here in our community and still stay within that registered environment. Now, that potentially opens up millions of dollars in any one of our communities that can be involved in these projects right here. Now, the members, they invest in SODC. SODC then invests in the project or the entrepreneur. So that provides a little bit of a distance between the actual member and the business. They know where their money's going, but they can't have their nose in how the business actually is operated. And then each project is tracked on its own, and so any returns are paid back to members as interest every year. And we do that because good old Canada Revenue, they like the tax dollars, and SOD is considered a passive investment source, so any profits are taxed at well over 50%. So instead, all of the interest, all of the returns go directly back to members every year to provide them with a pretty decent return. So the process, and here's where you can be involved as you hear of entrepreneurs and businesses that are coming into our communities. We want to attract those people, and so this is a way that our local people can help. The entrepreneur provides us with, they complete an application. We've got a small investment committee that works with the entrepreneur to ask them a lot of questions, come up with some sort of a plan that will work where they can get a loan or provide, or SODC can own shares in their business, and they can work out some sort of a repayment schedule. If it's been, we put a recommendation to the SODC board and the members. If it's accepted, then we go out into the community, have information sessions, collect capital from the members, and then that money is invested directly into the project. So it's all done locally. We do have legal counsel, so it's all done, you know, according to the rules, and we have to keep our eyes on the Alberta Securities Commission to make sure we're doing things correctly. Here's some of the, I'll let you just read these. Here's some of the rewards of what it does in our community. And one of the things that we're facing right across our Canada is that over 75% of the owners of small to medium-sized enterprises are getting a little long in the tooth and are looking at retirement. And so over the next 5 years, we're going to be in a heck of a bind where business transition has to happen. This is a way that local citizens can be involved in making that happen. Now, based on the model of SODC, the Alberta Community and Cooperative Association developed a guide for community leaders, so this model could be used in any community. And there's been many, many examples of how this has been used from smaller communities like Crow's Nest Past, Local Investing YYC in Calgary, where they've collected $2.5 million or something like that to invest in smaller businesses. There's in Edmonton, the model was adapted into BC, where they had to change some Security Commission rules, but it's being used there as well. As you can see, there's a whole lot of green energy businesses that have been done to use this same model where local people can invest in these things right in their own community. Vermilion is another community where there was a artisan cheesery that was operating out of town on an acreage. It had outgrown its facility, so the Vermilion members, they incorporated one of these to purchase an old liquor store that's been renovated as a retail facility. They purchased the lot beside it and built a new facility, which is now the cheesery's manufacturing facility. So it works really well. And one of the most recent one is right in downtown Edmonton, Homestead, where they've collected a bunch of money to purchase the old CKUA building. And there are it's a pretty neat business that's operating out of that, as well as some pretty high-scale restaurants. So it's a way for, both in small communities and big communities, this model can be used. And really, it's about us as local citizens sort of taking the philosophy that Helen Keller did about, just having the courage to take something that we can do to work together and to create some powerful results, do some really meaningful work in our communities to have our community, it doesn't have to grow, but we'd like to see it thrive. And Brian is our current chair. And so I said, we're not looking for money, but we would love to have you support, your moral support when you hear of things that are happening in the community where there's maybe a chance for SOD to support this. Any questions on how we do things or what we do?
Just have one?
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the county for allowing us to share this display with you, this presentation. The Securities Commission kind of has our hands tied. Because of our size, we're not allowed to use Facebook or to advertise like the big media outlets. So we have to just, by word of mouth, share it within our community locally. So this is a great opportunity for us to share it with Lac St. Anne County residents. So this is something that we've lacked. We've been around for 16 years, but not many people know of SODC. So we've done a few presentations now, and we were looking forward to this one so that it gets to everybody's eyes and ears. Thank you.
And the impact of this, in the 16 years, we've collected and recirculated about $1.5 million of local money into these local projects. Sorry.
Dale?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. It's, I know your organization's great. It's hard work. It's boots on the ground, and has, as you well explained, has helped a lot of organizations and the communities. So we thank you for that, and we thank you for coming here. So questions, Dale?
Well, I don't have a question, but, I just quickly checked, and you're rated as one of the top in Alberta for what you're doing. And it's through dedication. I know, Dan, when you first started this, it seemed like a big road to go down, but you persevered, and now with your board, you're making those accomplishments. And by talking to us here today, you now have let a lot of people know what's going on. And that's good that we can help you do that, because as you stated earlier, you have your hands tied as far as advertising.
Advertising and marketing.
But now there's a lot more people that understand what is going on and the success rate as well. So hats off to you.
Thank you. And one of the beauties is it's all volunteer run.
Yep, thank you. Any further questions? Bo?
Yeah, so you guys have been around for about 15 years, basically. You've done a lot of work in San Gudo mostly. Is that correct?
Yeah, it originally started as San Gudo based on our SODC.
Yeah.
But we realized that we just kind of painted ourselves into a little bit of a spot. So we've reached out, and surrounding communities and counties. We've Onaway, Barhead, Rich Valley, Evansburg. We're heading Whitecourt, Merthyr direction in our last few projects, so.
Yeah, I guess what my question would be is, what do you think that we as Lac St. Anne County can do to help San Gudo? We know San Gudo is a hamlet that is in need of your kind of support and other support necessary there. Infrastructure, recreation, people. What can we do as a county to help the hamlets and yourselves?
It's a really good question. I understand from a conversation with Ann recently that your focus or have some push for economic development, attracting businesses in. It's great to hear about Terrick coming into the county. As you hear about more businesses and ideas that are coming into the county, entrepreneurs looking for business permits or building permits or anything like that, to keep SODC in mind as, it's a way for local citizens to support these new businesses or young entrepreneurs that are wanting to take over for older entrepreneurs as well. So just keep your eyes and your ears and your hearts open and keep us in mind as you hear these things.
Yeah, That, my question, I guess, is more for ourselves than rather your organization. What can we do to help Sangudo? You've got a lot of experience with economic development, obviously, within that community. You've tried a bunch of different things, including being home developers, which you decided not to carry on for obvious reasons. But what can we do from your point of view?
I'll speak on that, actually. Some of your permitting structure is very time consuming. And I know you guys are working on it. We had a meeting in person with Ann, and that's being looked at, being cleaned up. We've been involved in some of our own permitting, myself individually, and some of it takes longer than a guy realizes, thinking that you'll have this house done before winter and somebody in it, and you're still working on that project. Permits, delays. We've also heard other individuals in the area that have not done a house build or an acreage build because there's been some hiccups in either communication or permitting issues. So, and in Sangudo in particular, there's a lot of ugly buildings on Main Street that are still ugly 10 to 12 years later. Like, they're not even functioning buildings, some of them. It'd be nice to have them cleaned up, maybe get a better building in there where we could have multiple office spaces for these massage therapists or accountants that come into the area and just need a small office space to serve our area. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Further questions? If not, once again, I thank you for your presentation. It's you guys are doing great work, and it's great to hear you make that presentation. It will be online. People will be hearing it, and hopefully it spreads the word. So thank you for that, and I would have a motion. Oh, Barry?
I'd like to add one thing. I appreciate what you guys are doing. To Ann, or is anywhere we can put a link on our website so that people can see it, or can we? Are we allowed to? Anybody have an answer?
Through the chair, I was just looking at him. Are we allowed to through your parameters?
Absolutely. We have a brand-new website, sangudoodc.com, and absolutely the links to that could be there. Yep.
Okay, yes, we absolutely can do that.
Okay,
you.
perfect.
Good suggestion, Barry.
So how come you can't advertise it online then, if we can go?
We can have a website and we can advertise that we're here. However, we can't advertise that we have a project to invest in. We can't sell shares to the public unless it's a bigger project where we were doing what's called an offering memorandum. Right now, we are able to invest in projects using some exemptions from the Alberta Securities Commission, so we don't have to go through that process of an offering memorandum, which are very costly. So we're limited to friends, family, close business associates.
And we know a lot of people in this area, so classified as friends, family, or business associates. There you go. So that's how we work around that.
I will recognize you, Bruce, but you have to come up here to speak.
I just wanted to add that at this point in time, everybody who becomes an investor, they have to be arm's length with somebody who's already an investor. So you have to be a friend or something or connection to somebody who's been a member. So that way our members, because our membership's limited, and we can't, and all members have to be. You could explain it better, Dan, I guess. But anyway, it's you just it can't be somebody who lives 2,000 miles away that just says I can put money in. You have to have a connection with somebody who's already a member here.
Okay, thank you for that.
But entrepreneurs, they can come to us and ask for our assistance with financing. We look forward to helping the young entrepreneurs that will definitely get refused at the banks. We have a little bit different risk tolerance or risk template than the banks do. A lot of ours is closer to
the heart.
And,
Yeah.
and meeting the person one-on-one.
Well,
Our last project was a fine example. That young lady has been through some times, and she needed some financing.
well, when you do it close to the community, you know the people, and you know, you're not going to invest in someone like that operates in Saskatoon.
Possibly not, but
Probably not.
probably not. Thank you.
Just a quick question on your actual costs. What does it cost over and above an average interest rate? What are the entrepreneurs looking at?
We work with the entrepreneur and their business plan to come up with something that works for them, that fits their cash flow. So we've done some deals. Well, typically, the last few ones we've done are in the range of 6 to 8% that they're paying back. We've had some that was 2%. And then a percentage of profit each quarter. So, you know, we're willing to work with the entrepreneurs to come up with something that's reasonable and that will help them set themselves up for success. Our members are, you know, they want, what we aim for is that the return will be at least better than what they would get at a GIC. Now, you asked as well about what the county could do. One of the things might be, I don't know if it's still in existence, but a small business tax incentive, you know, if there's somebody starting a new business or coming into town where maybe they've got a bit of a cut on their taxes for the first year where, you know, it's maybe low the first year and then over 5 years it increases. Something like that would, I think, help to bring some people to our community.
I do believe we do have a tax incentive in San Gudo. Maybe we need to publicize that a little bit more.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll take a motion to accept for information. Jill, all those in favor? The motion is carried.
And thank you so much.
Thank you again. Just one quick comment. We did have an interruption online in our last presentation. We apologize for that. I'm not sure what happened, but it certainly wasn't any of our doing, and I think someone hacked our system. What's that? Let Jillian speak to it? Okay.
Yes, thank you. We did encounter an individual who was able to unmute themselves in the Zoom meeting. However, we have checked and nothing is posted on the web that would be that. And before we post the video on YouTube, we will splice out that sound piece that we unfortunately encountered.
Thank you for that. And we apologize for anyone who did hear anything online. Okay, I think we'll take a quick lunch break.
Through the chair, if we could
again. Welcome back. We're moving to 10A2. So we're calling on Chief Randy and GM Nick to report on the flooding update.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this update. I know you've probably been flooded with ratepayer calls or concerns and information, so we want to make sure that you had the status report as of this morning. And we just developed a great map here just to highlight some of the areas. This is intended to be a short synopsis. There's information that we're going to have Nick update on in terms of operations. We all knew this was coming in terms of the rain that was forecasted, came to fruition on June 21st. We began to hear and see county roads being impacted primarily in the east end of the county. We were getting these calls via CPOs who were, you know, in the area and who were getting some calls via dispatch regarding road overruns, culvert blockages, and that type of thing. So they were out starting Sunday and reporting the necessity to close roads at that point. And all the while county wastewater utilities operators were addressing issues with some inundation of water, specifically in the hamlet of San Gudo, as we well know can occur. So the calls came in to myself in the early afternoon, resulting in my decision to partially stand up the ECC to begin a coordinated response effort to make sure that we had all of our ducks in a row, excuse the pun, with respect to the floods, and began to just try to become situationally aware as to what the scope was. And the most important piece was to assure the public that we were responding, and we were coordinating communications at that point in time. As you already know through your training, the ECC operates under the incident command system and establish key positions early on in order to begin the response and mitigation to the problems that we're developing. And the first 2 12-hour operational periods were primarily geared around the assessment to establish the scope and nature of the issues, to incorporate a planned response and a responsible expenditure of dollars necessary to do that. The county was split into 3 assessment zones under the direction of our operations section chief, GM Nick here, and 97% of the areas within those zones had been surveyed with respect to on-the-ground personnel driving those roads and assessing them. Decision was made by the necessity to get a helicopter and get eyes on in the air in order to understand the full scope of the problem beyond line of sight of those roads. And that was also done. And the county was flown basically in 3 to 4 hours, and data and information was collected. By the time this rain system went through, an estimated 190 millimeters fell in the east end of the county, and 90 millimeters in the west end, in accordance to the precipitation monitors by Alberta River Forecast. So we have 3 of those stations in our county, and that's where that data came from. Thankfully, ESS Emergency Social Services did not have to be engaged. While travel has certainly been impacted and county infrastructure has been impacted, thankfully no serious flooding concerns that required outside mitigation or outside support were reported into our office at that time, i.e. our ratepayers were fairly self-sufficient and able to handle their needs accordingly. There were some minor exceptions to that, but that did not put additional stresses on our emergency response to that. In working with operations, it was determined that approximately 50 to 60 culverts were blocked or partially blocked, with 80+ work orders being generated based on assessments by our crews, phone calls and emails from outside resources. When the county was divided into 3 zones, it allowed us to determine the severity was pocketed in areas with less impacts to the northwest and growing impacts to the southeast. And we quickly went from 4 roads needing closure to 13 roads requiring restrictions to the 50 to 60 block culverts as information came in, along with some wastewater issues or concerns in 3 locations just due to capacity and to the rainfall. So we were becoming aware of that. To protect this important infrastructure, our operations section chief implemented a 60% road ban restriction. It was a temporary suspension of haul permits, and with coordination with Northern Gateway School Division and school bus routing was determined necessary, and they made that decision to do so. Just to protect students and drivers' safety. This was done all to prevent incidents within our greater incident, and we were successful in that. We are now in the 5th operational period of the event, and while roadways are drying up in some areas and water is still moving through, there is water still moving through some areas, mostly in the east portion of the county. We are gearing up for another system that's coming in imminent starting Friday night with additional heavy rainfall forecasted to be 60 to 100 mils and a 3rd event following that. And we are planned, and we'll just enlighten you as to the operations that we have planned going forward. So I'll transition over to Nick.
So in regards to the operations, we have established an on-call public works schedule to make sure that we have 1 operator available from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. nightly going into the weekend. We have coordinated with Dallas's team with the community peace officers to help assist with initial calls as we start to see them with their officers that are on the road. We are planning to keep the ECC operational into this storm. And in the back end, we are also starting to collect resources and required equipment to start to mitigate and fix the problems that are currently known. As you can see with the map above, we've put a lot of effort into mapping, coordinating, and starting to use the data that we have to develop our recovery strategy once we stop seeing the rain. The Public Works team, everybody within the field operations came together to do the assessment. We were able to have all of our grader operators, all of our Public Works staff, and Ag Services come together to get everybody in every road in the county. Well, 97% of them drove. Beyond that, the coordination of using the helicopter to look at bad areas to understand outside of line of sight and make decisions that didn't create more hazards or impact more residents were what led us to how we acted over the last few days. And using that data combined with this new rain, we're going to continue to monitor situations that we know are hotspots, as well as continue to use that Public Works at lsac.ca as our primary conduit to have information coming in, so we can get as much information processed through in the same set of eyes on everything.
That's pretty much it, council. Unless there's questions, we're happy to answer.
All right, so open it to questions. I'll just start it. Thank you for your quick work and reporting. Anne got hold of me fairly quickly and the rest of council to inform us as to what was going on. So I commend you, and we all had a chance to look, I think, at the map, and really good work, and gives me confidence that things are, we're on top of stuff. I would say the only thing in terms of information going to council that I would like to see improved, and I guess it's more through Anne, but generally speaking, in cases like this, especially in an area, when there are severe instances in our divisions, that division counselor maybe needs to be aware of those particular issues as well. I don't want to take away from the general safety thing, but I think it really is important that our council members know what's going on in their division, because they will get calls, and I think it's important that they are aware of what's going on when a call comes in. So that's the only sort of what I see could be managed a little bit better.
And to the chair, I do appreciate that. That was one of the things we found was, as the information was coming in, we had it coming from multiple sources. So one of the improvements is that we've moved to that single email address to coordinate that, and allowed us now to get the mapping and process better. So this is a learning event for us. This is my fourth Friday here. We've been able to successfully connect a lot of this together. It'll set us up for some better operation coordinations in any other events that move forward, and it will be easier to make sure that happens for you.
That's not a criticism. I'm just looking at not a criticism, just a thing of to move forward. That's the only reason.
And we appreciate that. From our side, we're also looking at weaknesses or things that we felt we could do better, and that was already one of the ones that we've identified. So that's
great. Yeah. Anne?
Thank you through the chair, and thank you for the feedback. And one thing I will say, a lot of the senior leadership team is new, and certainly GM of operations, Nick, is new. But I have to say that this was a really good test of our systems, and everything we can do to improve, we can. But even, of course, emergencies never happen when we'd like them to happen. We're right in the middle of tax due time too. So the whole team administratively came together. We're helping out front. We're helping with emergency management, but it's really nice to see the collective teamwork.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from council?
More point to add, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just speaking to that, and I absolutely congratulate the team in coming together, and I want to reinforce what CAO Mitchell just said. And then I just also want to highlight, just speaking to your confidence level, we have had multiple offers of assistance to both our IMT team as well as any responses required. We have the complete support of the Alberta Emergency Management Agency, and that's like right through the recovery stage. So right through the decisions to how this is all financed and cost recovery and that kind of thing, that's already in motion. And so I just wanted to make sure and reassure council that that is 100% being managed by this very excellent team that you have here.
Thank you for that. Bo?
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for doing a great job, and I was so impressed when I seen this map this morning. I know how much effort that would take to cover our county, and it's so well done. It's a really good job.
Thank you through the chair, and I'd also like to say that I really am absolutely impressed with every field staff, every employee of the county. Everybody, when asked, dropped everything, supported. It wasn't I'm this or I'm that. Everybody pulled together for the team and for our citizens.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the report. Thank you, Anne, for guiding your team as well as you have. It's you never want an emergency, but to have one that's like this as a real test, I think tests how our systems work, and that's important. So thank you. And so I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
I'll
for
accept,
information.
move accepting the report.
All in favor? Carried. All right, thank you very much. Okay, that moves us to 10A1, the Yellowhead Municipal Levy increase, the request from YRL. Donna.
Thank you. So further to the presentation this morning from YRL, I just have an item here to bring forth, which has changed in some sense. So I'll just give you a little bit of background and then give you the update. In April, we received correspondence from YRL related to the proposed municipal levy increase as recommended by their board chairs at their March meeting. And as stated within that correspondence, all municipal councils must decide if the increase goes ahead. So to pass, YRL required written notification from 2/3 of the parties to their YRL master membership agreement, representing 2/3 of the member population. If the double majority was achieved, then the levy rate increase would apply to all member municipalities. So that's important to note. Yesterday, they notified us that they had reached that 2/3 member population, or representing the population. So that means that the increase has been put into play, and that's what we would be required to pay. I don't know that they really elaborated on that as part of their presentation this morning, so. There's many attachments attached to this item that show the value and what Lac St. Anne County receives. The support they provide to our libraries in Sangado, Darwell, and Rich Valley is extensive. It's amazing. It is vital to the operation of those libraries. So the rate increase, so currently we pay $4.85 per capita at a population of 11,300 for a total cost of $54,805. With the increase, we would be paying $560 per capita, again at a population of 11,300 for a total of $63,280. So this will increase our budget for 2027 by $8,475. And I do need to I should be replying to them with the notification of your decision by July 30th, though at this point, because they got that 2/3, it's not really as mandatory. So, any questions?
Through the chair, I just do have some concerns about this item. in that this group, and I'm not disagreeing that the service isn't valuable, it is extremely valuable, as we heard this morning. But I do have some concerns when they're asking us to pre-approve a budget when we haven't had the opportunity to go through our budget. And we're seeing that more often, and I don't think we can look at our budget unless we're looking at it holistically, and if we have too many one-offs, it creates issues.
Yeah, good, good comment. And it is, the way this one is now, regardless, we have to put it in our budget unless we withdraw from that organization. Barry?
Don't we already support libraries too? Already in the county already? We're like $278,000, something like that?
I believe so. Jillian's going to clarify
So this
that.
is on top of the 278, or is this included in the 278?
The 54,805 is included, so the 8,000 would be additional.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair too, I would suggest that my recommendation would be to pause this, to have an opportunity to look at it in the budget holistically. They don't need the approval, but I don't think we should make a one-off motion, in my opinion, today.
So basically, because it's mute anyways, we gotta pay it regardless. Making a point that we don't support these types of one-off decisions halfway through a year. Okay? Appreciate that. Dale?
Also, without any background information, we have no idea of anything. We ask other organizations to provide financial statements to us. So I think.
Through the chair too, I think that looking at the whole library system, as Councillor Voltner said, the other libraries and how it works together and collectively is going to be part of the service delivery review, which will be upcoming in the year.
Just an answer to that, I do believe our library board that Jill and I sit on, we do receive the financials from YRL too, right?
They provide updates, yes, I
Yeah.
believe. I can't remember when the last version came through, but I could definitely request that.
I believe, I thought we did get them, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my other question this morning, I don't know if I did not hear it. I heard Darwell, Sangudo, Rich Valley. Is Mayerthorpe there? Did they, what?
So those three libraries are our service points, Sangudo, Darwell, and Rich Valley. The other three libraries, Alberta Beach, Onaway, and Mayerthorpe, are their own municipality. So they will be paying the same increase based on their municipal population.
Yep, thanks. I just didn't hear it.
So just a question, we don't include the populations of the summer villages in our stuff. So do the summer villages, are they members too or not, or?
Some of them, I believe, are. I'm not sure the numbers exactly as to who's involved in that or not. But yes, ours is 100% based on county population.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further questions? So anyone want to make a motion? Barry?
I do option 2. County opposing amendment to Schedule C, the Yellowhead membership agreement for a municipal levy increase of 45 to 560, effective January 1st, 2027. That's the best we can come up with unless we deferred or something.
Through the chair, the other option is you could be that you could expand the motion so that it said council does not want to decide this until we have an opportunity to look at it in our holistic 2027 budget process.
That's what I was looking for, how to say it the right way. Yeah, add that.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Good wording, Barry. You got that, Cindy, right? Good. All right, any discussion? All those in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 1 o'clock, so we've got, oh, that's you, you're here. All right. So next is, we go back to 6.4, and that's the Lake Isle Lac St. Anne Stewardship Society. So that goes to you.
Yeah, I have a
Oh.
tough time with that one also, Lilsa. No, I'll do it from here. I've got an operator in the hot seat there.
I think you should be beside Cindy doing it.
Yeah. Okay, well, Lilsa is quite the special kind of organization. They're a society, they're a non-for-profit, I believe. Yeah, they're a non-for-profit. And the work that they've been doing is kind of underrated, I would say. They've been doing a lot of work with the flowering rush in particular, and they've managed to secure over $400,000 worth of grant funding to do that program, and they've done exceptionally well, and they've reapplied again for the funding. And I think there's going to be a press release soon where I believe they're going to have some more funding available to them. But this presentation is to inform council and administration of exactly what Lilsa is taking on right now. And just to get a little idea of the amount of membership of Lilsa, I'm just going to jump ahead here quickly. Well, maybe I'll stick to the program here and we'll just go through this. So basically, what we've done here, the WQ2 committee is a portion of Lilsa, and they're the steering committee that is going to be in charge of the lake management plan progress here. So what we have here in the table of contents is the different steps that have occurred and are going to occur. You all have a copy of this, and there's a copy in the presentation of the meeting today for the public to view this also. So about Lilsa, it was initially started quite a while ago. It was disbanded in the 1990s, but after serious complaints, it was reinstated at the request of the Association of the Summer Villages of Lac St. Anne East. It's been an ongoing problem with who is actually in charge of taking care of the lake management. Nobody seemed to be in charge of it, so they've taken the bull by the horns and off they go. Last fall, WQ2 was created, and they've done a tremendous amount of great work organizing this whole project. And what they've done is they pretty much, their membership, here's the membership count right here, sorry, Cindy. The membership in 2025 was 20 members. In 2026, it's 49 members. Obviously, they're going for a huge membership drive shortly here, and with the work that they've done with this amount of membership, it's just incredible. So to the next slide, how did WQ2 start? In April to June of 2025, numerous complaints by residents of Lac St. Anne County to our MLA, Alberta Environment Protected Areas, regarding the water quality and the water quality and quantity. It's two different items there. We had a problem back in 2024, 25, where the water levels started breaching the banks of Lac St. Anne, destroying the shoreline. It did a tremendous job of destroying the shoreline around the whole lake, and they're still rebuilding the shoreline under permitting processes right now. From June to July 2025, initial meetings between the mayors and the municipalities of those respondents, EPA and Lac St. Anne County occurred. And then in August of 2025, Lilsa agreed to lead the effort of the lake management plan. And that'll include the watershed of Lac St. Anne County, the weir, fish migration, all taken into consideration. A letter was sent out to the municipalities around Lake Isle, Lac St. Anne, suggesting Lilsa lead the approach, and they took control and started going from there. In September to November of 2025, Lilsa requested each council to endorse the August letter and to appoint a steering committee member. In December 2025 was the first WQ2 meeting. And WQ2 stands for Water Quality and quantity, just so everybody knows what that means. So the endorsements we have right now, municipal endorsements, is Alberta Beach, Lac St. Anne County, Lac St. Anne Métis Community Association, Parkland County, Summer Village of Castle Island, Summer Village of Ross Haven, Summer Village of Silver Sands, Summer Village of Southview, Summer Village of Sunset Point, Summer Village of Val Quentin, Summer Village of Yellowstone, and West Cove. Not officially endorsed is Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation. The chairs and co-chair, Bernie Poulin and Ray Huskell, have been at the lead of the committees. Alberta Beach has representatives. I won't go through this whole list, but we all have representatives from our municipalities. The only one we don't have a representative on the committee is Parkland County, but they are in support. WQ2 Progress, the roles and responsibility of committee members, we've completed that. We completed the goal agreement, which is to ensure a shared vision and values. And being shared, we're talking about all of Lac St. Anne County municipalities, not just the lake area. Followed by development of comprehensive lake management plan. That's the ultimate goal, is to come up with a lake management plan, which also coincidentally is kind of what we're dealing with right now with the flooding. It has a lot to do with the surface water management of the county as well, which we still need to do and to take under control. The steering committee, survey and collaboration, we get together to know each other, understand personal objectives and views, the engagement of Whitestone Industry Services Limited. Whitestone Industry Services Limited is who LILSA has acquired to coming up with a proposal for funding to create the plan. And that's the stage we're at right now. We've agreed to use the workbook for developing lake watershed management plans in Alberta. It's a guideline to developing lake management plans that is utilized throughout all of Alberta. The schedule developed for the progression in the lake management plan, we have a target date of Q1 is 2027. We'll get to that schedule a little later. There's a complete schedule for that. And alignment agreement, which was very, very important to have in place, was just completed as well. And that's with the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alignment, North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance and the Saskatchewan River Watershed Alliance, LILSA and WQ2. So in the alignment with these organizations, one might think that, well, why doesn't North Saskatchewan Watershed deal with this, or why doesn't Saskatchewan River deal with this plan? And the reason is that they do really great work, but their work is not the boots on the ground. Their work is basically in coming up with consulting and engineering reports, the background necessary to come up with decisions. And that's who we needed to utilize to come up with the plan. So LILSA is the project lead. They're in full ownership of the project. They lead and deliver the WQ2 project. The decision-making, they're responsible for all the project decisions. Implementation, the municipal stakeholder interface, the data and outputs, the communications. They're basically in charge of most of this whole list here. The funding role, technical advice, direction, accountability, credibility role, relationship to work, approach, the approaches that these different organizations have in this project, and the key boundary, which in this case, LILSA maintains independence while engaging with partners. And that's critical because there's a lot of great support that's going to be coming from North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance and the South Saskatchewan River Watershed Alliance as well, Association. So the lake management plan, what is the vision? Basically, Lac St. Anne and Lake Isle are healthy, resilient lake ecosystems where natural watershed processes function sustainability, nutrient loading is minimized, and water quality supports abundant fish and wildlife, safe recreation, environment, community life. Now, these are some of the things that are also in our strategic plan. This has a lot to do with the economic development as well. With a healthy lake system like we have here, Lac Saint Anne and Lake Isle, if we can maintain and improve it, it's going to increase our economic development tremendously. The lakes and the shorelines, I think it's supposed to be, are stewarded collaboratively by residents, indigenous communities, municipalities, and watershed partners, ensuring that environmental, culture, social, and economic values are protected for future generations. So that's the vision. In values, we value Lac Saint Anne and Lake Isle as a places of deep culture, spiritual, and ecological significance. We honor indigenous knowledge and stewardship and traditions. We commit to collaborative, respectful management that protects water, wildlife, and community well-being now and into the future. So the general principles of the plan is the committee will operate according to the following principles. And we have collaboration, transparency, evidence-based decision-making, respect, inclusivity, and sustainability. The state of the watershed reporting. Currently, we're using 2017 State of the Watershed Report for some background information. We're constantly inquiring with North Saskatchewan Watershed and the Sturgeon River Watershed regarding information to update this report as well. We need to do an update on that report. It's a few years old, but we got a great start. The Lake Management Plan, identifying who should be involved. We have the Steering Committee, WQ2. We have stakeholder advisory groups. We have a technical committee. And we have a watershed community. So the Lake Management Plan, determining how participants will work together. We've come up with a collaboration approach. The planning process will follow a collaborative, concise, based, watershed-wide approach, consistent with all affected jurisdictions and communities participating meaningfully. And that's been the problem in the past. Nobody's been able to really agree what is the right, correct water level for these lakes, and why do we have to have a plan? And it was never really brought together until now. And I'm really happy to say that I believe that these groups are capable of putting this plan together. Indigenous governments are engaged as full partners. Technical experts inform decisions. Stakeholders and the public contribute through the process, which is very important as well. Transparency and trust guide all interactions. So, determining how participants will work together, there's a complete list here, and you're welcome to go through it later of how we actively engage, how we're going to be sharing the knowledge, how we respect diverse perspectives, support implementation. Carrying on to the next slide, we'll go with decision-making process. For this plan, in particular, the primary method is going to be consensus, where all participants can live with the decisions. The concerns are addressed through discussion. Decisions reflect shared responsibility. Fallback method is supermajority. If consensus cannot be reached, a 75% supermajority of the steering committee members may approve a decision. Dissenting views will be documented. Technical decisions, the technical committee's recommendations will be based on the best available science and updated. Steering committee will consider technical advice when making the final decisions. Advisory input, stakeholder advisory group provides a non-binding input. All feedback is documented and considered. Communication and information sharing. Effective communication is essential for trust and transparency. We know that from what we've done here in Lac Saint Anne County. We need to have that communication. We need to have that communication internally between the committees, and the public communication needs to be there as well. Conflict resolutions, of course, nobody's all going to agree on the same ideologies, but it's normal and it must be managed constructively. The process to manage conflict, we've identified a few different items here. Identify the issue and perspectives involved, facilitate a discussion to clarify the interest, seek solutions that meet the shared objectives, use consensus or supermajority decision-making, document unresolved concerns. If needed, a neutral facilitator may be engaged. Commitment to transparency. All participants agreed to share information openly, document decisions and rationales, make non-confidential materials publicly available, and to ensure that the planning process is understandable and accessible. The governance structure, we have the steering committee. The role provides an overall leadership and direction, approves major milestones, timelines, and deliverables, ensures alignment with municipal, provincial, and Indigenous priorities, oversee the engagement, communications, and the plan developments, take information back to each of the steering committees, respective council, ensure stakeholder advisory groups and watershed community are informed. The chairing is done by Bernie Poulin and Ray Huskell, co-chairs. Ray Huskell, by the way, is the mayor of Rosshaven. Bernie is Summer Village of Southview, I believe. Decision-making, consensus-based with the fallback to supermajority. We've gone over that already. We'll get to the governance structure. Sturgeon River Watershed Alliance Technical Committee, their role is going to be review data, modeling, and monitoring results, reviews and provides feedback on management actions based on evidence, advises if the plan is technically defensible. Decision-making, consensus again, fallbacks on the 75%. Provides written summaries to the steering committees. The stakeholder advisory group, basically we're talking about includes the government agencies. The role represents the full range of lake users and interests, reviews draft materials, provides feedback, helps identify issues, opportunities, acceptable trade-offs, supports the community buy-in and implementation, ensure legislation is adhered to. Decision-making, advisory only. Provides the input to steering committee, and feedback is documented and publicly summarized. The structure in which the participants will contribute is broken down here as well. And we'll get into this in another chart here. There's another drawing of how this is all broken up here. We'll skip that one. We'll go to communication pathways. The technical committee gives information to the steering committee with written technical memos, presentations, and recommendation. The stakeholder advisory group gives information to the steering committee, which is summaries of feedback, concerns, and community perspectives. The steering committee to the public includes the technical committee, stakeholder advisory group, and the watershed community. And we have website updates. We have websites for both the WQ2, LILSA. We'll be holding open houses and social media, of course. Establish structure under which participants will contribute. Meeting frequency. We'll be meeting twice a month during the plan development and quarterly afterly. Technical committee will be quarterly, and the stakeholder advisory group at key milestones 2 to 3 times a year. The lake management plan established the structure under which participants will contribute. Administrative support. We're looking for support from Lac St. Anne County, LILSA, North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, and Sturgeon River Watershed Alliance, and ALMS. And so what we're looking for is administrative support, any kind of support that we can offer, or that Lac St. Anne County can offer LILSA is what we're looking for at this point in time. And what comes to mind is the GIS recording, the recent flooding that we have. We're making documentation of areas that are going to affect our watershed in the future for many years. And that's something Lac St. Anne County has to deal with as well. So the Lake Management Plan, this is our timeline schedule that was created. It's the planned activities. Steps from 5 to 16 will be finalized once we have the funding in place. So what we have basically going on here is we got the 2025 start date, September, and we're basically looking for a completion date of 2029. But what we mean by completion date is by the time that all facets of the plan are put together, implemented, and operating. So that's why it is 2029. And this is a breakdown in some of the work that's been done already. The ones with the check marks are completed. The dates that they're completed are also provided, the finish dates. And we have start dates for the future steps. All these steps we do have in a completed Excel format, but we thought it'd be for this presentation for all the councils that are going to be getting this presentation, not just Lac St. Anne County. We thought it'd be more pertinent to stick to this portion of it and see how we develop from there with the timeline. So municipalities, what do we need from you? This is basically the ask. We're asking for communication to your residents, feedback from the councils. We're also asking to have this posted, this presentation on the website and in social media and used to promote the project. Stay tuned for future updates. Letters of support for grant applications, that's always critical, and if we can, help out as Lac St. Anne County, that would be greatly appreciated. Matching financial or in-kind grant potential, that's something that, all the councils need to discuss. We are currently supporting LILSA. I believe it's $500 a year or something to that effect, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, we're supporting them, but they're going to need some additional support, so we need to have that discussion within council and administration. And administrative support. They're always looking for help in that direction. So that's basically the update and the current status of this project and LILSA in general. And like I mentioned before, LILSA is a boots on the ground. They're doing a lot of great work with the Flowering Rush. They've actually been recognized all over Alberta for the work they've been doing. So I do believe this is a worthwhile project and a necessity. It's something that needs to be done. If we're talking economic development, we need to attract people here. Nothing attracts people here better than a good lake management plan that takes care of the ecosystem that surrounds it. And I think it's a great benefit for Lac St. Anne County to have these organizations doing this. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you very much. Bo, any comments or questions? Yeah.
Bo, I got a question. In the East End and along quite a bit of my division, there's always been the talk about lake level, and there's always been the talk about how to approach it. I see here lots of plans. Is there any idea when we're actually going to physically see something?
See something as in
Maybe
results
a new weir or something?
A new weir, hopefully at the end of this, that'll be one of the improvements that we can make to this lake. I truly believe that the weir is a necessity. It's been there since God knows when. It's all dilapidated, it's fallen apart. We've seen the repercussions a few years back, what can happen if we don't manage the outlet of the Sturgeon River. And that's what caused all the damage on the shoreline of Lac St. Anne that we're still trying to recover from. It's actually created a secondary shoreline and a boundary of the lake. When it flooded, it destroyed all of the shoreline. So I'm hoping that by 2029, we'll have a weir in place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, Brian.
Through the chair to Councillor Knish, so do you have a front-facing person like Bernie or Ray that could handle a call from a resident? We get calls quite frequently just about projects like this and the water level of the actual Lac St. Anne itself. Are we able to forward those to Ray, and can he take them through this? And are public able to attend some of your meetings, I guess, is the question.
Absolutely. I do believe all of our meetings, except for some of this WQ2 meetings, are open to the public. I will make a recommendation that we set up some sort of hotline, but the LILSA website, which, forgive me, I don't have it right in front of me, is a great source of information. We're starting to work more on the website and combining the WQ2 information in the LILSA website as well, but WQ2 also has a website which will be updated very shortly as well. This is all a work in process, and I will mention to both organizations that we need to have some sort of communication hotline where people can actually call and ask questions, or some sort of method to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? A motion to accept for information? Mike, all in favor? Carried. All right. That moves us down to B, County Manager. Ann, you're on with B1, Lachlan Enhancement Protection Association.
Thank you. And through the chair,
One.
this was a request that was brought up. Sorry, are you okay? I lost my train there. This was brought up by Councillor Dirksen, and it's a change of council representation on the Lachlan Enhancement Protection Association, changing Councillor Dirksen to Deputy Reeve Johnson.
All right. Any questions through that or comments? Motion? Ed?
Yeah, to approve the transfer.
Option one?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next is service delivery review.
Thank you. Through the chair, one of the pillars under council strategic plan is to do a service delivery review. And that may sound easy, but it certainly is not. It's going to take us quite a bit of time, and it's going to have to be thorough. So we've started the process, and this report is initiating the process. So I'll just go over this report, and then I'll welcome questions after, and I'll kind of give you an overview of how we're laying it out administratively to move this process forward. So all municipalities deliver effective and efficient services to residents and businesses, as well as our vested partners in the communities. Water and transportation, fire and policing are services that we provide. We have to remember that as an organization and a municipality, we have what we call internal facing services and external. So if you look at our organization, we have corporate service, HR, those types of things, but they support the out-facing service provision. So every municipality is unique, and every municipality provides different types of services. Of course, a lot of them are legislated, but some are discretionary in nature, and depending on the type of community that you have, you may need different service provisions. We've been asked, why do we have a medical clinic that is under our municipal umbrella? Well, the answer to that is there was a need there, and it was taken on. But these are the things that we have to examine. And when we're looking at service delivery, it isn't as simple as just doing cost and benefit. We also have to look at how do we measure that as a benefit to the community. We heard this morning about libraries. Libraries are important. Recreation is important. Sometimes they have to be subsidized. But are these important? And you as council have the unenviable position of having to make decisions with the small amount of money that we have. So some of the factors that affect service delivery are the increasing public expectation. They all want to do more with less. Don't raise my taxes, but we still want all our service provisions. So I think you've done a really good job as council in your public engagement piece, and the more of that we do through this process, it will help the public understand that we only have this finite amount of funding, and we can only provide these types of services. So there is an increasing public expectation that we see to municipal service delivery. We are the government closest to the people, so that's another challenge as well, because we hear it. The other levels of government are a little more buffered, so they don't hear. They aren't as front-facing as we are. We all know that municipalities right across the country have aging infrastructure. We're no different. Our roads, our bridges, our culverts, our infrastructure, water, wastewater, all of those things need to be looked at. We need an asset management plan. We're all having increasing, changing social issues. Do we want our community to grow? We're dealing with struggling. If we want to bring in more people, then we have to have the services to provide them. That means infrastructure, that means services, but it also means recreation, daycare, those types of things. So why is it important to define services? I think that we have all been involved in various municipalities or even here in Lac St. Anne County where things happen just historically. So we took on something or it was downloaded and then we just kept taking it on. So it's a really important, especially for this council, because we want to look at how efficient we are. It's really important to look at all our services and to see what are we delivering. Is that something that fits under our strategic plan? And do we want to continue doing that? I'll give you an example. So one of the things we're doing internally is enforcement. There is a, I would say, perception that because we service other municipalities, that perhaps our costs, there's a revenue stream that's coming in. But what we need to do, and from our angle, is bring this forward to council and show you, for enforcement, we look after 8 other municipalities. Here's the revenue that comes in. Here's the cost of the program. But we can't just stop there. We also have to talk about the benefit to the community. So if we're providing enforcement for 8 other municipalities, is the enforcement in our area suffering? So do we as council want to set different service levels? So it's not going to be an easy task, but I'm really excited to do it because I think it's really important and it's going to get us where we need to go. So one of the next steps that we want to do is we want to talk about where you'd like to see us focus first, because this is going to be a very large project to undertake. We have prepared internally enforcement to come forward and use them, as we said, as the guinea pig. But we wanted to make sure that with our finance GM and the head of enforcement and their GM, that we're working together to present a report that shows you very clearly where they're spending their funding, where the revenue streams are coming in, and if we want more to be distributed to our municipalities, how much time are they spending? So it was a really good internal exercise to do that. But we would need some direction from council in the next area, because this is going to take us a couple of years to get this done. But I'd like council to go away and think about exactly where you see us focusing next. So that's something that with the list at the end, Schedule A of all the services that we provide, perhaps at the next council meeting you can give direction on what you see.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Eyes glazed over?
Bo?
Just curious, should we be looking at this on a priority basis? Like what's costing us money, what is not efficient? Would
Yeah,
that be a direction?
that's a good point. Yes, we should. And one of the things why I picked enforcement first of all was because there is a misperception that we are revenue neutral. And I heard that as soon as I got here, that enforcement is not costing us money. As a matter of fact, we're making money. But when you look at the numbers, it's not quite that simple. So that was one of the things that we identified. And then there's some other areas, but really it's when the service is not legislated and we don't have to perform it, it's discretionary, then council will have to decide what areas do we feel as a council we want to be in or not. And I agree with you, cost effective. One of the interesting things as I was sitting there today and listening to the various presentations, there's so many different ways to deliver services. We can do it directly. We can hire somebody to do it. We had the people from the Sangudo Co-op today. They're doing economic development. We had the library board, which is regional, that's providing services. So all day today, all the presentations that happened, really, if you think about it, everything touches service delivery. But did that answer your question, Bo? Okay. I kind of went.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? I thank you for doing this and the initiative. I know we've talked about that ever since you came, and it's all part and parcel of the finding out what we need to do, where we need to streamline, finding out what we're not going to do anymore. So I think it's a really important piece, and I think without any question, council supports the work on that, and we look forward to as it moves forward.
Thank you. And I think internally it's really a good exercise too for everybody to always be looking at their own departments. How are we providing services? Can we do it better? It's exactly like when Jillian and her team undertook the first quarter report with the budgeting. All of this stuff plays into each other.
Excellent.
I have one comment, Ann. So you want us to give you an order that we feel we really only have one side of the picture. We have the list, but we don't have the actual cost, so that might be advantageous for us to have that as well. And you know, it goes back to one thing that Barry said many months ago, which is what you're heading towards, is where your workers that are actually working on the ground can actually help us make a decision, maybe ways to save money.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Johnson. And I would say through the conversations that we've all had collectively, I have a good idea of where council wants to focus as well. So all those conversations are kind of identifying where I think I need to focus, but we can certainly add a cost and say, this is one of the areas where we spend most of our budget. So this is where we should focus first. And then I could give you a priority listing.
Very good. Okay, someone make a motion. Dale makes option one?
Yes, option one.
Okay, so that puts some onus on us as council to think about it as to, and maybe some feedback to Ann on what specific order to prioritize.
She'll send us a copy of the expenses for each one, the cost, okay. True costing, right? Okay.
All right, okay. No,
We just want to be cautious too, because I see Jillian's looking at me over there. We will get you an overview of it, yeah. And then for the specifics, when we do it, we will give you true costs, but I would caution you that cost isn't everything. Cost is a big piece. I know it is from your perspective, but we also have to remind ourselves, what type of community do we want to live in? And do we want to provide this service to attract and retain people?
I'll wear my Santa Claus and my Grinch hat.
All right, further discussion?
I got one question.
Okay, Paul.
I did have one question and I just lost it, but it'll come back to me later. I'll get back to it.
Would it make more sense to maybe pick 2 or 3 or 4 of the smaller services we provide versus one of the big ones like enforcement?
Yes, it would, but why we did enforcement first is we wanted to make sure, and I think this goes back to building public trust. All of these pieces are really important. If the public thinks we're making a lot of money from enforcement, or that perception is out there, or even with you as council, we have to mitigate that and say, let's look at this. That's why I picked enforcement first. But you're right, we should look at the other ones as well too. Campgrounds comes up quite a bit too. Should we be in the business of campgrounds or should we not be in the business of campgrounds? And that's a discretionary use, so that's an option too.
Yeah, or airports, boat launches, those are just the ones I'm looking off the top here, right?
Go ahead, Bob.
Just curious on the campgrounds, we were informed that actually we're not making money with our enforcement. Are we making money with campgrounds?
Through the chair, I don't know enough. I don't know the cost benefit. We've looked at it, but we'd have to do a breakdown on that and give you a business case.
I think probably the answer is no with all costs in, but we've done all the expenditures already, so
Yeah.
that's the hard part, right?
And that's the piece too. And as we know through the ICF and the ICF discussions that we're having with some of the other communities, the recreation is traditionally a loss leader, so it's subsidized, but do you want to continue providing those services? That's the council decision, obviously.
What came up in our tour of Mayerthorpe is Mayerthorpe apparently subsidizes their cemetery to the tune of $79,000 a year. Now, I didn't see their books, but that's apparently with considering all the work that goes into it. And, you know, that's service delivery. Do they need to do it? What do they need to do? I mean, it may fall on us because Dale and I were there and we said, you know what? If that's what it's costing you, just charge more. Let the residents of the cemetery pay.
And through the chair, I would say that's one thing too, like the fees and charges. We have to always be looking at that. The fees and charges here, we have to make sure we're doing jurisdictional scans yearly. And in consultation with Jillian, we're going to look at, that's going to be part of the budget process because that's revenue coming in, right? And we also noticed that through the Mayerthorpe tour, there were other things that weren't being charged enough. So then the town was subsidizing.
Yeah, and we do the same, I'm sure. All right, we've got the motion, no more discussion. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, moving down to outstanding council requests.
So that's my floor.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, well, I've had the chance to review our agenda and compare it to other agendas, and look at the Roberts Rules of Orders, and I'd like to support adding an agenda item called Business Arising from Previous Minutes. Now, this proposal is not to redo anything we've already talked about. What it's to do is provide council with an organized opportunity to follow up on matters that remain outstanding or to ensure previous directions are not overlooked. There are several reasons why I believe this is a good governance. First, it strengthens accountability. There's no question council makes decisions and gives direction throughout the year. Having a designated agenda item allows us to confirm that those matters have been addressed and completed. Second, it improves transparency. For residents, they can see that council not only makes decisions but also follows through on them. It demonstrates that our work continues from one meeting to the next. Third, it creates a more orderly meeting process. Robert's Rules of Orders recognize unfinished business as a standard part of the order of business. While our procedure bylaw may use different terminology, the principle is still the same. Outstanding matters should be addressed before moving on to new business. Fourth, it improves meeting efficiency. Rather than previous matters being raised throughout the meeting under various agenda items, council has one appropriate place to deal with them. Finally, it supports continuity. Council often deals with projects and issues that span several meetings or even several months. This agenda item provides a structured way to monitor progress without repeating discussions unnecessarily. So, and I want to be clear, it's not intended at all to revisit or redebate any issues that have already been made. It's strictly to just make sure that those have been completed and or there are works in progress to do that. So adding this business arising from previous meetings is a simple improvement that promotes accountability, transparency, organization, and effective governance. For those reasons, I would respectfully ask council to support adding this item to the agenda.
Okay.
And that would actually come right after approving the minutes.
Thank you, Dale. It's not an uncommon thing to have in most meetings, so any discussion on that? And do you want to respond?
No, I think it's a good idea, and I think that'll help us track things internally because, and I like your point about when you say, then we don't have to re-conversation, where's this, why is it happening? And I'm certainly ready to speak to that, and we'll have started working in anticipation of this on a tracking form, so thank you.
Cindy? Well, yeah.
Through the chair to Cindy, these are requests, outstanding things that have happened at a council meeting. For example, the update on what happened to 540.
Right.
That's outstanding, those types of things. And there's a few others.
Yeah, so it's basically, in other groups I've been part of, the minutes would state action item. And these are these action items that would come back as business arising and would be, like Dale said, there no discussion, just this is what's happened. And you might, like, it would be Ann reporting more than likely on all of those, and she may say, well, 540, that's coming up in the infrastructure report, and then it's discussed there. But just so that, I think it makes a lot of sense where you actually, all these action items, if we want to call them that, those are brought up and everyone's up to speed. Does it stay as an action item or is it completed?
And I think the same process is for council as well, not just administration. You know, administration asked us to provide a list. So that's an action item would be for the next meeting. So we now have to sit up and say, okay, we have a job to do here too, provide that list. So it's very important. I think it helps both actually. So with that in mind, if I could make a motion, which the motion would be the council direct administration to amend the standard council meeting agenda to include a standing agenda item entitled Business Arising from Previous Meetings for the purpose of considering outstanding matters, previous council directions, and follow-up items from earlier meetings.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and then we go to B4.
Thank you, through the chair, and I wanted to bring this forward. We received a letter from the Summer Village of Southview, and they were donating $500 in recreation funding. I did have an opportunity to look at our ICF agreement with the Summer Village, and there is no request for funding on their part. This was simply a donation, so I wanted to bring it forward to council's attention and suggest that perhaps we send a thank you letter to them on behalf of the county.
Very good. Just a quick question. That money that comes in, does that go into the recreation pot?
We haven't determined that yet, and I know there was the same funding last year, and we're just trying to find out where it was
Yeah,
applied last year.
Because I would think it's directed towards recreation, and it should be into our recreation pot that we have to use.
So through the chair, we are putting the revenue into the recreation department general revenue, but not specifically directed to anything at this time, just recreation revenue, yeah.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. Okay. Did someone maybe want to make a motion to send a letter? Okay, Mike makes a motion to send a letter of thanks to the summer village of Somerview. All right. Next is all in favor, right. I was reading the next one. Thank you. All in favor, carried. Next is 12.1 committee reports. You all handed in your committee reports. Any comments, questions? Barry?
I missed that me and Mike did the Onaway Heritage Parade, and we were at the Ball Diamond sign unveiling for the ball tournament.
Oh, very
well.
good, good. All right.
And we got to throw candy at kids.
And you didn't hit any, I hope. Okay, good. Dale?
I missed FCM. But anyhow, I do have a comment about these the council committee things. I wonder if it'd be advantageous if we attended a meeting per se, a public meeting or a organization meeting, if the report didn't just say we attended the meeting, but maybe a short synopsis of what we did.
Thank you. I think in the past and here certainly, the intent of this is to advise your fellow members of council, but also the public on what you're doing. And I think what I've seen done that was effective and not onerous was if there were highlights of certain things that you wanted to let the public and council know, not necessarily writing them out, but just speaking to them verbally.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe my suggestion would be in terms if you've attended something that you feel should come up at council, let me know or let Ann know. We'll put it on the agenda and that'll be an update. So if you want to, because I do think it's important if you went to something that everyone should be made aware of, in a timely fashion, that would be the time to do it.
And through the chair, to the chair, I would say for a perfect example was Councillor Knish's explanation of the LILSA and the committees that he's sitting on and speaking to that today.
Yeah, excellent. So keep that in mind. And if you think it's a real exciting thing that we all need to hear, keep good notes and make a report at the next council meeting. But make sure it gets on the agenda. All right. Any other business? We don't have a closed session? No. Okay. With that, at 1:50, I declare the meeting adjourned.